Buenos días, bola de cat, ¿no? En realidad sí, pero no lo voy a decir porque si no me van a desmonetizar, güey, no voy a poder hacer $30. Espero que estén teniendo un excelente día. Bienvenidos al canal. Vamos rapidísimo a platicar. Güey, voy a vender todo. Viene la gran recesión del 1929 porque todo se está pareciendo y parece el mismo ciclo, etcétera. Número uno, sí, parece el mismo ciclo. Parece básicamente que todo efectivamente se repite. Pero la pregunta es un poco más difícil de lo que ustedes creen y ahorita les voy a decir el por qué. No es tan fácil. Número uno, creo que sí compramos o compré el fondo del fondo ahorita en cripto y la razón por qué, y se los voy a enseñar ahorita también, por eso me gustaría que todos pudieran aprender básicos de una tabla, ¿no? Cómo leer una tabla. Pero imagino que si Paco te puede platicar de una tabla en Yahoo Finance, puedes entender a esto que te enseño, que te voy a enseñar ahorita. Eso es lo que pienso en este momento. ¿Por qué lo pienso? Porque se está repitiendo efectivamente todo lo que pasó en el 2018 a la T. O sea, puta, a la T de tetas, viejo. No lo puedo creer, para empezar. Es una absoluta locura que ha sido tan, entre comillas, fácil manejar esto. Me hace pensar muchísimo, pero también tenemos que entender que cuando nos preguntamos, ¿esta vez es diferente? No, pero la variable sí. ¿No? Del 2018 a lo que hemos vivido ahorita. Lo que yo sí creo es que definitivamente vamos a ver un mega putazo en la bolsa de valores de esas que te acuerdas para siempre en 1929, 1930. Definitivamente lo pienso. Yo creo que de aquí a ese entonces lo que podremos ver va a ser literalmente un mercado alcista. Puede que tengamos baches en el camino y no lo dudo, pero tenemos que pensar en lo siguiente, ¿ok? Les he contado siempre, la idea de todo esto y la idea y esto va un poco con espiritualidad, quieras o no, cabrón, me da igual. Vienes a escuchar a este güey que ha estado bien y que te ha hecho dinero, vas a tener que comerte todo su cuento espiritual porque es lo que le funciona y cómo te habla. Así que ahí lo tienes. Todo en este en esta realidad se repite. Todo, absolutamente todo. Es más, tú mismo que te crees un ser original, algo completamente único a esta vida, ¿no? Eres completamente diferente a todos los demás. Haces lo mismo todos los días o una variante de lo mismo todos los días. Siempre estás repitiendo el mismo ciclo. Yo me despierto, hago mi café, hago todas estas cosas en el mismo orden, me pongo a hacer en vivo y si no, y estoy de vacaciones, básicamente hago lo mismo cuando estoy de vacaciones o simplemente tengo periodos muy pequeños donde cambia la cosa. Cuando antes mi vida era más variada y tenía que ir de viaje a todos lados, tenía que grabar, hacía lo mismo haciendo otra cosa. Entonces, esto me dice que hay hasta tantas diferentes alternativas que van a ocurrir de lo repetido. Por eso cuando me gusta hablarles tanto de ciclos, de que se sigue repitiendo todo. Dentro de esta misma realidad, claramente no te pueden engañar los jefes de la realidad. Lo que pueden hacer es hacerte trucos para hacerte pensar a ti mismo, para hacerte equivocarte. Esa es la idea de todo esto, ¿no? Se disfraza todo de una cosa cuando en realidad es otra. Y esto es un poco difícil de explicar, pero al mismo tiempo se me hace que es bastante lógico y obvio con todo lo que hemos vivido. Una de las cosas más sencillas que les puedo explicar, y es algo que acaban de vivir la mayor cantidad de todos ustedes, es COVID. Cuando hubo esta gran impresión de dinero, te prometieron que no iba a haber inflación. Te lo prometieron, güey, no te preocupes, ¿no? ¿Y qué fue lo que ocurrió? Completamente lo contrario. Pero al mismo tiempo era obvio porque te lo dijeron por voz alta, güey, vamos a regalar dinero, vamos a hacer esto. Te pusieron toda la evidencia enfrente. Simplemente te dijeron, no creo que vaya a haber, o sea, güey, no lo creo. No te lo garantizaron, pero no lo creían. Y ahora por alguna razón te están garantizando, te están diciendo que el otro lado es lo más probable. Y esto es lo que siempre les digo. La bolsa es completamente, todo en este planeta es completamente mentira, pero sobre todo la bolsa. No es algo que se mueva como te han enseñado en clases de economía, en la escuela o en todos lados, donde tú crees que nosotros, los idiotas que compramos $20 de Robinhood o de Bitcoin, estamos moviendo la bolsa y nosotros definitivamente hacemos eso. Cuando entiendes una tabla, y esto es algo que les he enseñado aquí, lo han estado viendo sobre todo en los últimos días, en las últimas semanas, reflejado una vez más y fuerte, donde la gente que solamente sigue tablas va a caer en las trampas de la misma tabla puesta por la tabla. Y dirás, pero si es un mercado que se mueve solo, ¿cómo es que está poniendo estas trampas? Porque no lo es. Porque todo esto está diseñado para que se sienta como si en verdad hubiera una guerra entre alcistas y bajistas y la gente está comprando y vendiendo, pero no se repetirían los ciclos de la misma manera. No sería. Y la tabla no haría lo posible para mandarte a la chingada. Y las noticias no harían lo contrario, justamente te dirían muy malas noticias justo antes de que sube por casualidad. Todo es un gran organismo que está planeado y está ejecutándose de la misma forma una y otra y otra y otra vez. Porque lo que a fin de cuentas todo este pedo te está intentando enseñar es a controlar tus emociones y a tener diferentes reacciones y te premiará. Oye, güey, está muy profundo este pedo para solamente hablar de la bolsa. Pero, güey, de eso se trata esta realidad. Deja tus emociones, reacciona diferente y podrás verlo todo. Y podrás ser premiado por todo. Eso es como funciona. Un ejemplo estúpido en la bolsa. ¿Cómo haces dinero cuando la bolsa y todo el mundo tiene miedo y está gritando que Michael Saylor va a explotar? Él, sus tetas y sus manitas. ¿Cómo puedes hacer dinero cuando eso está pasando, cuando todo el mundo te está diciendo en todos lados? Porque estoy en paz y sé que lo que están viendo, una, ya lo he visto antes. Y dos, entiendo cómo funciona este pedo y me estoy saliendo de él. Entonces, cuando me dices que Michael Saylor va a explotar y las tetas de Michael Saylor van a explotar, lo siento, tengo que comprar todo. Tengo que comprarlo todo. Cuando me dices que Circle, güey, es que va a salir la nueva moneda de Coin, bueno, la nueva moneda de BlackRock y todo esto, la chingada. No, es que no crees que cualquier moneda estable que salga le va a quitar el negocio a Coinbase. Perfecto, hora de comprarlo todo. No, es que Bitcoin y el ciclo de las criptomonedas está yendo a la verga y todo esto es diferente. Perfecto, hora de comprarlo todo. Ante todo el miedo, ante toda la preocupación, ante todo el ruido, esto es como funciona esto, literalmente. Y lo más padre de todo es que hay un playbook, ¿no? Que es lo que pasa en todos los ciclos de todo, ciclos de la vida. Esto lo aprendí. Mi abuelo, imagínate, mi abuelo se murió cuando yo tenía 9 años, el único abuelo que tuve. Se murió cuando tenía 9 años. No me acuerdo qué tan chiquito estaba, porque cuando se murió, pues, güey, se murió ya, tenía como un año o dos muriéndose, ¿no? El tío. Entonces voy a decir 7, entre 5 y 7 años. Estaba en el coche con él, le estaba contando que esta niña me estaba molestando. Y el güey se cagó de risa, me voltea a ver y me dice, eh, un día, y acuérdate de mí con esto, vas a estar persiguiendo a todas estas niñas en vez de quejándote por ellas y te vas a arrepentir de no hacerle caso a esta niña que no te está molestando, en verdad te quiere, o sea, no me acuerdo cómo me lo dijo, pero te quiere mostrar que te quiere, un pedo así. Y yo, este güey está loco. Y una vez que pasó eso, me acuerdo perfectamente como un niño, ¿no? Ya se había muerto el tío. Fue de verga, güey. Tenía razón este güey, porque todo se repite, todo lo han visto ellos, todo lo has visto tú, todo lo hemos visto todos, pero queremos hacernos pensar que todo esto es único a nosotros, no lo es. Le quita un poco de salsa a tus tacos de la vida, pero es la realidad de todo esto. ¿Por qué llego a todo esto tan filosófico y tan, no? Porque literalmente parece que estamos repitiendo el 2018. Han jugado todas las mismas jugadas, me han intentado meter miedo por todos lados, las tablas han engañado a absolutamente toda la gente voltando a ver las tablas que están viendo lo mismo y estamos literalmente aquí parados viendo cómo Bitcoin continúa empujando. Ahora, ¿cuál puede ser la diferencia y por qué estamos hablando de 1920 y si voy a vender? Porque literalmente si se repite la historia, tíos, y les voy a enseñar ahorita ya una tabla para todos ustedes, lo siento mucho, brother, a los que no sepan tablas. O sea, qué oso, güey, qué oso no saber tablas. Eh, no, ahí les va, se las voy a poner sencilla, voy a empezar con Bitcoin rápido, acá. Y una vez más, todo el mundo va a seguir cayendo en esto de izquierda a derecha rápidamente, ¿ok? Esto es el índice de Bitcoin. Esto, perdón, ayer estaba enseñando en una clase de rangos y la verga. No necesitamos tener nada de esto, nada de esto, nada de esto, nada de esto. Ok. Voy a quitar también el RSI, no lo necesitas ver. Es más, no necesitas ver nada, solamente esta chingadera. Ya está Bitcoin, ¿no? Tal cual, con este bajón ahorita, en junio, yendo a julio, tal cual, en una tabla de 2 semanas, voy a poner la semanal. Reajuste por encima del S&P 200, aguantando perfecto. ¿Ven estas dos velitas que están acá? Las dos de abajo. Ok. Estas pasaron en junio del 2026. Voy a regresarme no al 2018, digo, no al 2022, sino que al 2018, porque aquí, recuerden, no hay COVID y no hay un mercado como el de ahorita. ¿Y qué es lo que estamos viendo? ¿Se acuerdan las dos velitas que les acabo de enseñar? Aquí están y ahorita estás en esta. Tuve que hacer un gran análisis técnico de todo esto para poder entender, Nel. Absolutamente no. Y te estoy enseñando esto. Ahora, en noviembre, diciembre, tuvo una caída Bitcoin gigantesca, ¿no? Y la cosa aquí, y esto es lo que les quiero decir, esto es lo que puede variar. Porque aunque sea el 2018, hay una cosa que es idéntica, que son los intereses, que es lo que hizo que Bitcoin cayera así. Toda la gente fue y empezó a comprar un chingo de deuda a 1 año, 2 años, 5 años, 10 años, 30 años en Estados Unidos. No sé por qué. En ese entonces no sé por qué, porque recuerda, la pandemia, la emergencia, no pasó hasta el 2020. Entonces, ¿cómo puedes decir que un año antes, literalmente 1 año y 3 meses antes, todo el mundo fue y se atascó de deuda americana a corto plazo? ¿Por qué pasó? No tengo ni puta idea. No, no estoy aquí para decir, no, es que en ese entonces, no, me vale madres, güey. Pero esta vez entendemos también que en enero del 2027, a través del gran engaño que le han dado a todos ustedes, creyendo que son para que van a comprar sus criptomoneditas y la verga, la ley, la nueva reforma de stablecoins que favorece totalmente a Coinbase y a Circle, que están pompeando hoy rico, esa ley de nuevas monedas estables va a ocasionar el mismo tipo de fenómeno, donde todo el mundo va a ir a comprar todas estas monedas estables y van a hacer que la deuda de Estados Unidos sea codiciada, ¿no? Entonces podríamos tener el exactamente mismo escenario acá. Pero eso quiere decir que también tendríamos que tener un ajuste falso como COVID en el 2000, tiene que pasar todo el 2027, principios del 2028. Eso no es la gran recesión. La gran recesión pasó en 1929, la gran depresión en Estados Unidos, y quiero que entiendan que duró una década. Para mí la gran depresión, y esto se me hace bastante lógico, va a venir cuando Tesla, una vez más, les dé a todos ustedes sus coches que se manejan solos y todo esto. Por más que ustedes creen que están viendo y están presenciando la digamos, la encarnación o el desarrollo, la evolución de la inteligencia artificial, lo que están haciendo ustedes es viendo una obra de teatro de algo que ya pasó. Toda esta inteligencia artificial ya existe, la han creado a niveles que no puedes entender. La inteligencia artificial simplemente aprende viendo. Estos güeyes lo entienden perfecto, lo puedes ver con lo de los coches. Los coches de Elon solamente ven y con eso pueden aprender. Y le estás enseñando todo lo que haces diario a la inteligencia artificial con tus videos de TikTok y la mamada. La inteligencia artificial sabe hacer todo ya. Todo. Pero todavía no nos la ponen a quitarnos trabajos, de verdad. Ahorita todo el mundo está debatiendo, no es que tú crees que esto y la verga, y por eso les dije, ¿no? Ante todo este miedo que les están metiendo a todos ustedes de las acciones de inteligencia artificial, que van a caer y que no van a volver a subir porque es la burbuja, no es cierto, van a continuar subiendo y probablemente estemos cerca del piso en ellas, ¿no? No los he checado, pero me imaginaría, simplemente por el miedo que han metido a todos ustedes en ellas. Y así es como, pero no tengo que ser un genio para entender esto, no tengo que saber ser el mejor analista técnico de todo el planeta, simplemente entiendo cómo funciona la realidad, entre comillas, ¿no? Y eso es lo que me ha ayudado bastante a poderme volver una verga en esto. ¿Por qué digo eso? Porque la Gran Depresión, y es idéntica, fue un gran reajuste del sector labor, ¿no? Fue un gran reajuste de todo ello, un gran reajuste económico, un gran reajuste de todo. Y eso justamente vendría otra vez en el 1929. No, 2029. Todavía falta. Van a decir, no se va a repetir igualito. Ok, Perfecto. Te voy a dar el beneficio de la duda, ¿no? De que no se va a repetir igualito, pero te voy a poner esto enfrente. Hasta que no saquen todo esto, estas cosas que están quitándole chamba a la gente, porque ahorita lo que están haciendo con la narrativa es engañando a todos ustedes de que no, la inteligencia artificial efectivamente no le va a quitar la chamba a nadie, de que no es lo suficientemente inteligente, que no puede hacer esto. Lo único que vamos a ver es un mercado alcista una vez más, hacer que todo el mundo, porque esto es psicología, lo único que está haciendo es jugando con tu psyche, ¿ok? Y entendiendo ese juego psicológico por alguna razón que no entiendo por qué lo entiendo, lo que están haciendo y lo que tienen que hacer ahora es hacerlos creer que la bolsa nunca más va a poder bajar, nunca, para oficialmente atrapar a todo el mundo en el peor bajón de toda la historia. ¿Y por qué tiene que haber un bajón? Porque no estás teniendo inflación, te están engañando en grande, carnal, te están engañando muy cabrón ahorita. El precio del petróleo que ha bajado y todo eso, yo voy a echarme un poco para atrás y decir, tal vez efectivamente ya ahí quedó lo del petróleo. Porque ahora que te están amenazando con inflación, y esto se los había dicho hace meses, que tienen que engañarte diciéndote que los intereses no van a bajar y que van a subir. Están permeando ya en su cabeza de todos ustedes de que eso va a ser el caso. Y cuando lo veo permeado ya en la gente, en los análisis de la gente que sabe, ¿no? La gente que tiene sus diplomitas y que escribió libros, viene lo contrario, porque de esto se trata este juego, de entender eso, nada más. Y ahora que viene, y ahora no se trata de ser contrario, se trata de entender qué les están haciendo creer a todos y cuál es la histeria que causa eso. Y cuando todo el mundo está en histeria, comete el error, eso es la vida. Cuando estás en medio de algo y alguien te grita, te emputas, ¿no? Eso es sentimientos. Sentimientos es lo que estás en contra de, es lo que te va a hacer jugar y te va a hacer equivocarte, te va a hacer errar. Entonces, cuando veo que todo el mundo lo ponen en histeria de algo, sé que va a ir por completamente el otro lado. Lo están calentando con la inflación de que esto nunca más va a bajar y la chingada, cuando todo está en descuento, pero no se dan cuenta por cómo los venden estos descuentos, etcétera. Ya con ese plan que les están diciendo, esto también me clarifica que el ciclo del 2008 se va a repetir. Se está repitiendo al máximo. La idea es, ¿cuál va a ser? Necesitan ahora una excusa para que bajen los intereses como en el 2020, y este es donde está la variante, donde yo personalmente no creo que ese sea el caso porque ya tienes las monedas estables. Y ahora, ¿cómo puedo jugar esto y yo saber si voy a tener que vender todo o no antes ya de irme acá? Porque tengo que ir a ver el partido de España contra Bélgica. Es sencillo. De aquí a fin de julio, principios de agosto, si les dicen que Bitcoin va a seguir subiendo y que cripto va a continuar a la luna y que ya fue el mejor momento para haber comprado en el pasado, es algo, si ustedes se lo creen. Si en ese entonces le dicen a todo el mundo, güey, date cuenta que está repitiéndose el ciclo del 2018 y ahorita es la mejor oportunidad para vender, van a colapsar los bancos, por ejemplo, me voy a quedar encima y no me voy a salir porque entonces ya vimos el fondo. Así de fácil, sí. La otra cosa que quiero que vean es esto, y nadie lo está haciendo. BTC USD entre el SP500. No, cabrón, qué pendejo soy. Espérame. SPX. ¿Esto qué es? Te estoy dividiendo el SP500 en Bitcoin, ¿ok? Y quiero que lo veas en la tabla de 2 semanas. Para cualquier persona lo puede entender. Nunca en la historia de Bitcoin, en esta tabla, has tocado la línea rosa de acá. Nunca. No, espérame, esta no es ahí está. Um, no, algo me está saliendo mal. Espérenme. Solamente para refrescar. Otra. ¿Qué me está saliendo mal? Algo me está saliendo mal, brothers. BTC. Espérenme. A ver, voy a hacerlo con oro. Perdón, ¿eh? No lo puedo creer. Algo me está definitivamente saliendo mal. Ok, con el oro aquí está. pueden ver lo castigado que estás en contra de la línea rosa, ¿no? Lo puedes ver acá y lo puedes ver acá. Y ahora estás haciendo bajos más altos, acá no lo habías hecho. Puede que estés en esta y vas a tener otra distribucióncilla, ¿no? Que es lo que parecería. Si hago BTC USD contra el Nasdaq, NSD, ¿cómo es el Nasdaq? Espérame, pendejo. No, NSQ, ahí está. Ok, perfecto. Verga, esta mañana estoy, pero en drogas. No, después de todo lo que les dije, pues sí, ¿no? Vamos a hacer el Dow Jones, entonces. Con el Dow Jones, estás en una muy buena zona de compra. Simplemente, simplemente te enseña lo castigado que está este pedo. Y puede continuar bajando, efectivamente, pero sería entonces hasta final de año por alguna cosa que no podamos esperar, por algo que literalmente que nos tenga tienen que fabricar una crisis para hacer eso. Pero ¿cómo lo vamos a saber? Simplemente entendiendo cómo juegan este juego. Y a finales de este mes, principios del próximo, si nos dan buenas noticias, corremos. Si nos dan malas noticias, nos quedamos. Esa es la idea. Porque si sí, efectivamente, puede que hayamos comprado la parte más barata de cripto. Y si no, simplemente ellos mismos nos lo van a decir porque hay honestidad en la deshonestidad de esto. ¿Ok? Los voy a dejar con Farhan para que nos dé el análisis de Bitcoin ahorita, pero si quieren estar al tanto de todo lo que estamos haciendo por acá, para que lo tengan pendiente, presente en la mente, les voy a dejar el Discord, donde les dije lo de literalmente esto que estamos viendo ahorita, se los puse el 5 de este mes, hace 5 días, y justamente continúa pasando tal cual con lo de Bitcoin y aparte con mi estrategia de ello, para que lo tengan. Aquí va a ser el primer lugar donde les diga que noté. Oye, algo así está cambiando o todo se queda igual, está aquí. Definitivamente viene la crisis, la gran depresión y todo eso, sí, pero hasta el 29, hasta entonces. ¿Y cuál va a ser? Si te la quieren mover un poco, simplemente darte cuenta, la automatización de todos los trabajos, eso es lo que nos va a dar el tip. Cuando Tesla tenga la habilidad de quitar 12 millones de trabajos de la economía de Estados Unidos de un día para otro, ahí es cuando nos damos cuenta que efectivamente vamos a ir a la Gran Depresión y nos tienen que contar historias hermosas de todo ello. ¿Ok? Es bastante sencillo. Aquí en el Discord, que está en la descripción de aquí abajo, se los voy a dejar para que todos ustedes lo tengan. Para que todos ustedes lo tengan, puedan verlo y se apunten, es completamente gratis. No hay nada de gato encerrado por acá. Acá tienen los análisis de Alex, tienen los análisis de Farhan también, y ellos que son puros y duros analistas de tablas, hablan con ciertas abreviaciones que tienen que ver con cripto a veces y tienen que ver muchas veces simplemente con la vida. Aquí está su lenguaje traducido de español a inglés, por cualquier cosa, aquí lo tienen. Espero que antes de irme podamos regalar los $6,000 en Bitunix, pero tiene que prenderse el sorteo este. Entonces, aquí tienen esto. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más tenemos por acá? Nada más, por cualquier cosa. Y si por azares del destino quieres aprender a leer tablas solamente para entender esto y para poder comprar, una vez más, solamente para que no te vean la cara de tonto, ¿no? Cuando te dicen que el dólar va a colapsar y literalmente el dólar está subiendo. Y lo más cabrón es que hay expertos de tablas diciendo eso. Cae a nuestro sitio de Elite Trading Academy, está también en la descripción de aquí abajo, y te voy a dejar déjame lo pongo en español porque no sé por qué siempre lo tengo en inglés por mi browser. Pero cae en productos y aquí tenemos un curso de $29.99, cero a trader, güey. Con esto tienes que aprender cómo leer una puta tabla. Sin pedo alguno, dura una hora 40, está en inglés y en español. Comprándolo te da las dos versiones y no hay pierde. Con esto deberías de poder aprender a leer todas las tablas de manera sencilla y no hacerte un experto en trading. Experto en trading viene, si te quieres volver más experto en eso, simplemente ven aquí todo el tiempo y ve los videos que son gratis. Y si tienes cualquier pregunta, lo que yo te recomendaría es después compra esto. Esto es el paquete de sesiones de trading en vivo. ¿Por qué? Porque si compras el curso y ves todo esto, vas a tener preguntas que no entiendes. Cuando tengas esas preguntas, ven. Y aquí ayer tuvimos una clase fue nuestra clase número 44. En promedio duran 4 horas estas clases. Tenemos más de 150 y tantas horas de clases. Tenemos otros videos, etcétera, puestos ya listos para todos ustedes. Entonces, simplemente con eso vas a tener un chingo de información y pues vamos a ver exactamente qué se puede dar, ¿no? Porque tenemos que asegurarnos de que todos ustedes estén al pedo con esto, y cualquier pregunta que tengan es la mejor manera de aprender. Si pueden simplemente ver cosas aquí, tener preguntas y esas preguntas ser contestadas. Una vez que tienes esas preguntas contestadas, en verdad aprendes. Y de aquí puedes aprender lo que sea con esto, lo que sea, lo que sea, lo que sea. Así que es como yo recomendaría que aprendas esto. Tenemos las alertas de trading, pero si no sabes lo que estás haciendo, vas a perder tu dinero, te lo garantizo, no lo hagas. Y es todo lo que tenemos. Voy a traer a Alex y a Farhan y vámonos a darle con Toño a los bitcoins, damas y caballeros, y a ver su análisis. Morning, boys, how are you?
Buenos dias, cabrones.
Yo.
Doing well. How about yourselves? You excited for that game?
I am so fucking pumped. Never been to a World Cup game in my life. Thank God it's here. And I didn't have to fucking go anywhere.
Didn't you go to Qatar?
I went to Qatar before the World Cup after the World Cup for something else.
I see.
Yeah. No, and by the way, you don't go to a World Cup where you can't drink.
That's also very, very much of a bummer.
Yeah, that's absolutely stupid. What is
How are you
this
supposed to
fucking
have fun if
amateur
you
hour?
can't get drunk or high?
Yeah, no, that's scary. Let me tell you.
I have to be
What do we
sober
got
for this?
for the bitcoins, huh?
I have to be sober for this bullshit?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
All right, I'm going to go first.
Do it.
Let's go into HPDR, go to Bitcoin. Are we having fun with our Bitcoin? All right, there we go. We're getting a nice move off of that median after yesterday's daily close, which did maintain closures over the median, and we do have momentum currently flipped to the downside. This is approaching the neutral zone, and you are now taking out these previous lows. I'm just waiting for this low to get taken out of momentum, which will be exactly at the neutral zone, and then this will put in hidden bullish divergence possibility, and you are going to make a local bottom with any close here above $63,472. And that'll also give you another closure over the median, and then that's going to give you a target towards this top 38.2% of the 55 EMA, sitting somewhere around $65,800, somewhere in that 65.8 to 66,000 region. Let's zoom back out, see what else there is, and there is still active bullish divergence on the daily. Actually, did you know you actually invalidated here? Never mind. But you are putting in that local bottom possibility, which is then gonna or give you that target upwards. Jules losing the buy signal, flipping into neutral, although the curvature is still upwards, and it does look like this is going to flip back into a buy signal on this next open, which is going to be with any close over 63,472. So good. 12-hour also gave us a pretty nice close here, ever so slightly over that median. 12-hour also put in a local bottom, giving you the closure over this high at 63,472. That gives you the target towards the 100 EMA, which is currently right around like $65,500. And is there anything else here? This low is 62,305, 62,400. 62, and this is 62.2, so this is a lower low, so there is no divergence here. What about this one? No, so there's no divergence at all here, but volatility is now starting to tick up from 0% with momentum flipping up. And we got the jewel losing the sell signal, flipping into neutral. Curvature is upwards now, right at the pink where we have your pink over yellow cross. 8-hour has also given us a closure over the 100 EMA and the median at the same time. We're now we're hitting 38.2%, and we are slightly above it, which is at 64,311. If we do get a closure over that area, that brings you a target into the 78.6, which right now is at around $67,400. And what else on here? And on the 8-hour, we do have hidden bullish divergence between these 2 points because you did take out this low of momentum. And that did confirm on this candle's close, which also reclaimed the 100. And your 8-hour has now flipped back into a buy signal. And the jewel has also put in hidden bullish divergence. 4 hours also freshly flipping back up right at the simple moving or the moving average. Anything here? Let's see. This close is 63.8. So we did take that out. So there's no longer possibility of hidden bearish divergence, and you would have a target of the 78.6 from here after closing over the 38.2, and that level sits at around 65.4. Two hours looking slight toppy here with momentum starting to flip down. Is there any bearish divergence though? No, not yet. Not any. When volatility is contracting while momentum is flipping down. But from here, I would be looking for somewhere around the 5 to the 38.2% to get tapped. I do think it's going to be closer to the 38.2%, sitting somewhere around like 64,150. The invalidation for this is going to be taking out this high at 64,662. If that gets taken out, then you're probably just going to go straight up to 65,000. Two days also getting a move into the top 38.2%, right around 64,850, somewhere close to $65,000. As of now, you kind of getting a slight rejection from the 21, although not really that much to worry about. While momentum is still flipped up, volatility is expanding now, and you are putting in possibility of hidden bearish divergence because you have taken out these previous highs while price is still making a lower high. But this is going to require a close below 61,280 to confirm. And if you do confirm it, it gives you a move down to around 58 for a little bounce, and then probably somewhere closer to 52,000, 54,500. I mean 51,500, somewhere in that region. And 2 days close to a bullish cross with the pink about to go over the yellow. This is going to take possibly one, maximum two more to confirm. And the last time you had this cross was in March of 26. And what happened from there? Pretty nice bounce from that $60,000 low upwards to $82,000. Okay. 5 days also currently flipped up with volatility at 0%, and the 5-day jewels losing the sell signal, flipping into neutral. Although you are very close to getting a bearish cross here, but the pink dropping below the yellow. So this would be the idea that this rally into the end of summer ends up going into a lower high, and then later into the year would give you your next move to the downside once you get this pink over yellow cross confirmed. And this is a 5-day setup, so even after you get the cross confirmed, it is probably going to take a couple of periods for it to end up playing out. Let me see if we have any previous ones in the bearish control zone and see what the results would be. Nope, this is an upwards cross. I have a feeling it's going to be close to the bottom once you get the cross. This is also an upwards cross. Also an upwards cross. This one was higher, so it's not going to count. Do we ever have one here? No, we don't ever have one downwards cross in the bearish control zone. So this is going to be a first. But that will only cross assuming that you stay below the 9 in the median. Otherwise, they're likely going to diverge like you had before, where they were previously just about to cross down and then they diverge. Makes me think that's probably what's going to happen, considering rather than this will be a first for this. And you are now slightly, I believe, over the median, just around it, around 64,360. So let's say 64,400. If you do get a closure over there, you got 4 days left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. But if you do get a closure over there, that gives you a move somewhere between the 21 and the 38.2%. But higher probability that you're going to go towards the 38.2%. Probably going to get a little stop here though, which is at around $69,000, 68,900. Right around that region does make sense to get a little bit of a pullback, especially since that's a 2021 cycle high. And then from there, you're likely going to be hitting somewhere around 71 to 72,000. And that's likely where you're going to find your next lower high if you, assuming you get that closure over this region. And that's probably going to be where you top out at if you do reach this area towards the end of the summer, and then maybe go sideways for a little bit, sideways and down, and then towards the end of the year, you get your dumping action. And what else? And there is still bullish divergence on the 5-day here. Weekly did maintain that closure over the 200 SMA, and now it is once again back over that 200 SMA, getting the closure in this region, reclaiming that was quite a significant move. And from there, I would expect to get at least a tap of this 9, which is currently sitting around $66,000, $66,500, somewhere in that region. And momentum is currently flipped up on the weekly, and you're putting in possibility of bullish divergence. But this is going to require, previously it required a close over 67,260, but now you just need one more close over 63,960. So if you can't confirm that, so basically around 64,000, if you can get a weekly close over that region, that would give you a target at a minimum of hitting this 29, but likely you are going to be hitting somewhere closer to wherever the 21 is at that time, right? And currently, it lines up with the bottom 38.2%. That puts you around somewhere around $71,800 to $72,000, lining up with that previous 5-day setup, I believe it was. Yeah, for the 38.2%. Alrighty, can you guys hear me? Just making sure. Because my power went out for like a split second.
Yes, we can hear you.
Where did I cut off?
You didn't cut off.
Oh, Mazel tov.
Okay.
Power split was cut off for like 2 seconds and then cut back on. Mexico, wonderful. All right, 2 weeks. 2-week currently is now flipped down. You got a possibility of hidden bearish divergence here on the 2-week, and you also have possibility of regular bullish divergence. This is going to confirm as a bullish divergence with any close over $65,565, and it will confirm as a hidden bearish divergence with any close below $57,750. Currently, you are closer to forming the bullish divergence, and if you do confirm the bullish divergence, that would give you a target somewhere around $69,000 to $70,000, which would be a move into the 2-week 9. Although I do think you're probably going to go somewhere into the 71 to 72 region at that point, which is slightly over the 9. And the 2-week jewel currently does have a sell signal, rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone, saying that even if you get that move into 71 to 72,000, that is just going to be a bearish retest before you end up going lower towards the end of the year. And let's see the last time. Well, we can get to that on the RSI. I was going to check for the last time we had bullish divergence on the 2-week, but it's a lot easier to just pull it up on the RSI. And monthly is still flipped up, about to test the edge of the bearish control zone. This is going to be the first time we are testing the edge of the bearish control zone since we have made it into the bearish control zone. And this isn't going to be similar to 2020, 2021, 2022, because when you tested the edge of the bearish control zone here, you just made it back in, and that was the end of the bear market. We switched all the way down to 2020, 2018. This is more similar, where the 2018 move got you a move to the upside, back on momentum. We're getting back to the edge of the bearish control zone, which gives you a little bit of a rally into the summer, and then out of the summer, you get your lower low towards the end of the year. Here you do have in November to December, you got your lower low, and that came after a rejection of the edge of the bearish control zone, which is literally exactly what we're getting now. Test the edge of the bearish control zone with a rally into the summer. Identical. And also, I want to see where we went to in terms of EMAs. So we got moves into the 9, we got a little closure slightly over the 5, and then you went to your dumping action. And currently, a move into the 5 would bring us to around 68,300, and a move into the 9 would bring us into $74,000, which is going to drop with this next monthly close. Wouldn't it be interesting if this were to drop somewhere around $72,000 to $73,000, lining up exactly like 2018? We get our move into August somewhere around that low $70,000 region, and then you go sideways for a little bit, and then towards November you get your next dumping action towards like $50,000. Kind of thinking that's might be what will happen. And monthly still has that sell signal with the pink dropping below the yellow. And this is happening higher up than it did previously when we had it with Luna, the cryptocurrency. And quarterly is still flipped down with volatility still expanding, and quarterly is still continuing to sell signal on the jewel. Every single time you even had a neutral signal, it has been a bear market, let alone the sell signal, and now you're getting continuation on the sell signal. And from here, if you were to come back up and test the 9, which is you have solidly now lost the 9, which you have been holding for this entire bull market, and that 9 with 5-year 9 below 5 EMA below 9 cross is currently sitting right around $72,000, $72,500, and it does make sense to get a bounce here since you are tapping 88.3% on the quarterly or HPDR, which is very, very significant. So once you get this bounce, likely I would like to see these ranges step down, and then you would have a target towards around $54,000 from there. And the 6-month 5 is currently sitting around 69,600, right around $70,000. And the 6-month has now flipped down. And if you notice, whenever you get your 6-month flipping down after quite a nice move to the upside, that is where your bear market is. You get that little move down, you get your candle down, but right around that point is where the bottom is, and then you get your next bull market. So somewhere around, if we were to look at the same region at towards the 100%, that would put us right around $47,000 currently. Very interesting. And this 21 is going to continue to rise to eventually get close to that area. And our last bottom was front run of the 21, and COVID was also a slight front run of the 21. Now we'll look at Tether. Tether is currently flipped up on momentum with volatility contracting. Tether has now rejected the median, and you're getting a nice move down from that region. And as long as you are closing below 8.57%, you would have a target of coming down to 8.28%. Let me get a little sipski of my Coke Zero. All right. And the daily jewel is now still on a neutral. It's the curvature is more so sideways here, so it's not necessary. It's not any directional point as of now. It's not like upwards or downwards. It's just more so neutral sideways. And that's also because you're kind of close to the 38.2%. Let's see what else is here. So I believe this is a higher low, 8.299% and 8.4. So yeah, and you did take that low out of momentum. So there's possibility of hidden bullish divergence here. I think you did confirm it on this candle here, which gave you an easy move towards the 21. And as of now, is kind of close to invalidating. This will invalidate with any close below 8.385%, and then you would have a target towards the 100 after that, which is around like 8.1. And at that point, you would likely lose a 38.2%, which will then bring you closer to 7.8. $12 hours, like touching tips, very close to silver crossing down. This will cross down on this next close with any close below 8.6%. And then that'll likely give you some nice dumping action towards somewhere around 8.2 to 8.3%. And you get some hidden bearish divergence here on the 12-hour because you did take out this high up on momentum where price is making a lower high. And did that confirm? Let me zoom in. That confirmed on this candle here, which gave you a move down to the 100. Got 9 hours and 45 minutes left to go. So if you do reclaim the 100, likely you're going to get another move up into the 9 right as you confirm your silver cross down. That would put you around 8.5%. And the 12 hours not losing the buy signal. 8 hours also flipped down. Any divergence here? 8 hour also has hidden bearish divergence, which was confirmed. And you are now right around the 38.2%. You close in less than 2 hours. And if you do close below 8.46%, like you're going to get a nice little move down to 8.2s. And 8 hours not giving you a fresh sell signal. 4 hours also lost 38.2%. Momentum is now retesting the moving average with volatility going into contraction. So now if you were to get a close over around 8.49%, 8.498, so about 8.5%, that would give you a move slightly higher into retesting somewhere between 8.55 and 8.6. That still would be in lower high posturing, but if you can get a closure over 8.6%, then you're back in action. Two hours now starting to flip up. Any divergences? Nope. Lower lows with lower lows. You will put in a local bottom, but then you close over 8.455%, and then that gives you a move into somewhere around 8.55 with a 2-hour Joe losing the sell signal. The two-day is still flipped down. You are taking out these previous lows, so now you're putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence, although this is going to require a close over 8.757 to confirm. And as of now, you are still below the 21, and you're below the 50%. You close in about like 34 hours, so that is a good amount of time, in eternity in cryptocurrency land, basically. But we want to see this close, and if you do close below 8.478%, this is going to mark this off as a local top, and you're going to come down to somewhere around like 8% flat at that point, somewhere around 8.05. And you do have, I believe, bearish divergence. Yeah, you do. 5 days also got a rejection from the median, with 5 day putting in bearish divergence. This did confirm on this candle here, and after you've lost the median, that gives you a move down to the 38.2%, which is around 8.29 to 8.3%. And also that next target on that bearish divergence is going to be the 21, which is currently sitting around 8.1. And the 5-day jewel is now giving you a sell signal. And you're close to getting a bullish cross with the pink above the yellow. So if this does start to lose its 38.2%, what's going to happen is that these are going to diverge, and then you're going to get the opposite move. Alrighty. The weekly is also currently giving you rejection of the 38.2% after breaking back into it, and also you're back again below the 5 after losing the 5 after this nice move to the upside, which has been holding the 5 the entire way. And from there, I believe you also have bearish divergence here, which did it confirm? It did not confirm on this candle's close, but currently on this one, if you close below 8.410%, that will confirm it, and then that gives you a move down to the 21, which is right around 7.85%. And that would be the scenario where Bitcoin goes up to like $69,000 or $70,000. And the weekly is starting to now lose the curvature, and kind of looks like it's going to flip neutral in this next open, and it's rejecting right at this cross with the pink below the yellow. And 2 weeks still rejecting the median. All of these previous highs have been rejections of the median. This closes in 9 days, 10 hours, so that's very, very long time. Massive eternity in cryptocurrency land. Momentum is still flipped up on the 2 week with volatility at extreme lows. 2 week jewel is giving you a fresh buy signal here, and you are putting in hidden bullish divergence, taking out all of these previous lows. But this divergence will require a close over 9.352%. And if you can't confirm that, that gives you a nice move up to 10.4 to 10.5%, which is a massive new all-time high for Tether. And that's some nice dumping action on Bitcoin, probably closer to like $50,000 or $52,000. As long as you are closing below the median, though, you are likely going to come down to somewhere around 7.6 to 7.7%. Okie dokie. Monthly is also getting that move down to the median now. If you were to come a little bit lower, that would put you towards the 5, and that'd be around 8.1%, 8.1 to 8% flat. And 5-day or monthly is losing the buy signal, flipping into a neutral, but has not given you the sell yet. This will give you a sell if you lose the median on a closing basis at 8.33%. You got 21 days left to go, which is an even bigger eternity in cryptocurrency land. But if you do close below the median, then that gives you a pretty nice move down to somewhere around that 7.7% area. This would be the hopium for that move up into August. And quarterly would just be simply getting a nice healthy retest of the 5 if you were to get that move, with momentum still flipped up on the quarterly. Alrighty. go to RSI, Tether. Tether is about to put in a fresh drive of bearish divergence on the daily. This will confirm with any close below 8.527, and this will give you a move into, oh, nice, 7.73%. Lines up with a lot of other things. 12 hours confirmed bearish divergence, and now you're putting in hidden bearish divergence. This will confirm with any close below, this one here, I believe it is. Yeah, 8.358%. That will also give you another loss of your or rejection of your 100 EMA, and then you're going to eventually come down to somewhere around 8% flat to meet your 200 SMA, and lines up with your RSI SMA at 8.07%. And 12 hours at extreme lows on volatility. 8 hour also has bearish divergence. Current next target is going to be the simple moving average in the bearish control zone. Currently sits around like 8.15%. Lines up with your 200 SMA on the 8 hour. Nothing. 2 hours close to hidden bullish divergence. This will confirm with any close over 8.455%, and then that gives you a move into somewhere around 8.51 to 8.6%. So it would be slightly lower on Bitcoin, maybe closer to like 62.2 or 62.5. 2 days putting in possibility for hidden bullish divergence. This will confirm with any close over 8.757%, and that gives you a move into 9.13%. 3 days also got bearish divergence. You've hit the easy target, which is the edge of the bullish control zone. Next target is the neutral zone, which is currently sitting at 7.62. And volatility is at extreme lows. 5 days also got multiple drives of bearish divergence. Next target is going to be somewhere around 8.13%. Oh, it lines up with your 21 on the 5 day. 6 days also got multiple drives of bearish divergence. Next target is going to be around 8.38%. Not that much further. Weekly also got possible bearish divergence. Weekly will confirm this with any close below 8.410%, and then that will give you a move into 7.87%. I like to see that. 2 week also is about to retest the the edge of the bearish control zone, and that would put you down somewhere around 7.79%. Also a very beautiful number. I believe this is lined up with somewhere around the 9 on the 2 week. And this would be the first time you're coming back to retest the 9 after getting some massive busting action. This 9 is where you like to bounce off of on your higher lows before you get more busting action. So this would just be some healthy retest on Tether before getting some continuation into the end of the year. And volatility is at extreme lows. And once you take out this low, you with an edge test at the edge of the bullish control zone, you will have 2 week hidden bullish divergence, and that'll give you a target towards 12%. Monthly, let's zoom in. You're making higher highs now, but you're making lower highs from these highs here. So there's possibility for some monthly bearish divergence, although that will require a close below 6.971%, which is a little unlikely as of this point. Quarterly, about to test the edge of the bullish control zone. That currently puts you at around 10%. Not bad. The neutral zone is at a beautiful number. It's not relevant. I just want to point it out. It's at 6.9%. Right, daily. Daily is about putting a fresh drive of bullish divergence on Bitcoin, whereas Tether is putting in bearish divergence, and you got your nice little inverse herp and derp here. And this bullish divergence will confirm with any close over $61,484, and then this will give you a move into the critical zone. We're just gonna update, but right now it's sitting at 71.8. Your first RSI target from this divergence is going to be the 55, which is currently sitting around just below $66,000 and 65.9, and this was gonna kind of close to that neckline, and then you're likely going to get a move into somewhere around $69,000 to $70,000 at that point. 12 hour also has a bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over 62,250. I love to see that pivot lines right up with this bullish divergence and validation, and this gives you your next target into the simple moving average, which is currently at 65.9, so right around $66,000, with volatility now starting to tick up from extreme lows, very close to starting to expand over 15%. 8 hour also has bullish divergence. Let's zoom in. The next target will be the simple moving average, which is currently at 65,000. And you got support at the neutral zone, which is at around 63.6. And 8 hour has volatility expansion above 15% with the bullish divergence. Nothing. 4 hours made it into the bullish control zone. Two hours putting in a fresh drive of hidden bearish divergence. This will confirm with any close below 64,113, and this gives you a move into the bullish control zone sitting at 63.6 or 63.5, lining up with that previous number at support at the 4 hour. I think quite 2 days also putting in a lot cleaner here on the 2 day, and a lot cleaner on the neckline too. Bullish control zone is currently at right around 69,000, 68.9. 3 day also has a local bottom. I'm going to target the edge of the bearish control zone, sitting at 66,150, and volatility is now back to extreme lows. And you're putting in possibility of hidden bearish divergence now because you have taken out this previous high while price is making a lower high. But this will require a close below 61,280 to confirm. 5 day has still has bullish divergence, and this will be active as long as you're closing over $60,180, and you are now taking out this previous low. Let me zoom in here. This low here, while price is not taking the low out here, giving you possibility of hidden bullish divergence, which will confirm with any close over 64,681, and that will give you a move into the 21, which is currently at around $69,000, 68.9, somewhere in that region. And lines up with the edges, slightly lines up with the edge of the bearish control zone at $70,000. So even if you were to get a move into the 70s, this would still be in the bearish control zone. And this would just be a reset on momentum before lower. And your next move would be $49,000. This just resets the bearish momentum. 6 day also currently has bullish divergence of multiple drives. This is going to be active as long as you're closing over $60,180. And just like the 5 day, you are now taking out these previous lows, putting in possibility for hidden bullish divergence. And this will confirm with any close over $63,960. And then that gives you a move into, currently it's at 75, but this is going to update on this next close. And weekly is now putting in possibility of bullish divergence, and this will confirm with any close over $63,250, and this will give you a move into the 9, which is currently at around 66.2, 66.3, and the RSI target would be around $69,000 at the neutral zone. Very cool. Bullish divergence with a reclaim of the 200 SMA. 2 week also putting in possibility for bullish divergence. That would confirm with any close over $65,565, and that gives you a move into around $69,000 to $70,000, which is a retest of the 9 off the silver cross down. Let's see. Let's zoom in. We did have bullish divergences throughout here, which gave us your bearish retest before you get further down. Let's go to 2018. And we have the same thing here in summer of 2018. We got bullish divergence, 2 week, which led us to that retest. And then you get your sideways and then your dumping action. It's literally playing out to a T. don't look at this. Look at this. Well, how did that arrow come up? I don't know how I did that. And 2 week is now back to extreme lows on volatility, where the last time you had expansion from these extreme lows, you had some massive dumping action. And the edge of the bearish control zone, which is going to be resistance, is right around $71,000 at 70,700. And 2 weeks still has active bearish divergence. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below $76,318. Your resistance is going to be the bearish control zone. This level will update, but currently is sitting at $76,000. Oh, monthly, I mean. And quarterly still has active bearish divergence. Going to be active as long as you're closing below $114,000. And your next target is going to be around $49,000. And 6 month has 3 drives of bearish divergence. This is going to be active as long as you're closing below $107,000. And your next move is going to be to right around 49,000, somewhere between there and 44,000. Alrighty, let's take a look at momentum. Tether. Tether is currently flipped up on the daily, and it's going to remain up as long as you're closing over 8.43%, which is very close to flipping down. And this kind of lines up with basically your 51. I'm 55. Why did I say 51? And if you were to lose the 55, that would also flip momentum down on the daily, and this would maintain daily momentum in the critical zone. And you likely see some a nice move into somewhere in the 8.1s. You are currently putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence because you have taken out these previous lows while price is making higher lows. This would be at least 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence if you can confirm it. 12 hours currently flipped up, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over 8.47%. And you are at the edge of the bearish control zone here. So if it does flip down here, this is going to be a rejection of getting out of the bearish control zone, which is kind of close to doing, especially with your silver cross down. 8 hours freshly flipped down with volatility expanding from 2 periods of 0%. And this is going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.67%. And you are putting in hidden bearish divergence because you have taken out these previous highs on momentum while price is making a lower high from this point. And your bearish divergence target would be around 8.1s. 4 hour also flipped down with the drop of death and volatility expansion. And it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.47%. 8.57%. 2 hours flipped up, very close to a local bottom, and it will be flipped up as long as you're closing over 8.4%. So this likely gives you that move up into somewhere around 8.5 to 8.55 to 8.6%. Probably rejects that region, and then likely get your move down into the 8.1s. 2 days currently flipped down also with bearish divergence. It's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 9.02. Volatility is contracting, telling you likely you're going to find a higher low off of this. 5 days also flipped down with bearish divergence, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 8.61%. Your next target on the bearish divergence is going to be your 8.1s. Another Sipsky. I'm getting a little dry mouth. There we go. Excuse me. Let me mute this for a second so I can burp. There we go. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly is currently flipped up, but it's also very close to flipping back down. And this will flip down, and then you close below 8.47%. And weekly is very close to putting in bearish divergence here. 2 week is currently flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up with volatility back at extreme lows as long as you're closing over 7.81%. Very interesting to see this pivot down here because this is the area where we're looking to get hit. And monthly is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 8.52%, with volatility currently expanding to the upside. This would be a monthly retest of somewhere around the 5, right around 8.15%, 8.1s. And coming back down to the 5 is very healthy and very good for continuation, actually. You don't want to see it continue to massively close away from the 5 because that makes it easier to put in. What makes it easier once you get that local top to get the retest of the 5, then you would get a bigger move to the downside, making it more likely that you've marked your macro top. And quarterly is flipped up with hidden bullish divergence, volatility expanding, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 5.38%. Now let's check out Bitcoin. Bitcoin is flipped up on the daily, and it's going to be up with volatility expansion as long as you're closing over $62,800. And you are putting in possibility of hidden bearish divergence currently, but you do have active bullish divergence. 12 hours currently also freshly flipped back up right at the edge of the bullish control zone, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $63,600. Looking for a move slightly lower to somewhere around $63,500, and from there you should see a nice expansion into 65 to 66. 8 hours also freshly flipped up, rejecting the bearish control zone, and it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over $62,000, 62.1. 4 hours also currently flipped up, and it's going to be up as long as you're closing over 63,350. You are close to putting in a bearish engulfing dildo on the 4 hour. This will confirm with any close below 63,950. So right around 64,000, and then that gives you that move into low to mid 63s. And 2 hour is now freshly flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below 64,600, and you're about to put in a local top with any close below 64,113, and that gives you your move into somewhere around like 63 to 63.5. Daily is currently 2 days still flipped up on Bitcoin, and it's going to remain up as long as you're closing over $59,700. You are still putting in possibility of hidden bearish divergence, although it's a little difficult to confirm here. And once you get a daily close or 2 day close back over your 21, that gives you your next busting action move into that $69,000 to $70,000 region, and you will still have hidden bearish divergence at that point. 5 days currently freshly flipped up, and it's going to remain up as long as you're closing over $63,100. And let me zoom in. Yeah, so there's bullish divergence in between these 2 points, and your next target is going to be with any close over $64,682. That gives you your move into somewhere around that $69,000 to $70,000 region, with volatility still contracting on the 5 day. Weekly is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $65,300, with weekly putting in possibility of bullish divergence. That gives you a move into stop at 66 to 67, and then eventually into somewhere around $70,000, because this 21 is going to drop with the next close. And 2 week is currently flipped down, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $71,600. And you do have bullish divergence possibly here on the 2 week. Monthly is currently flipped down with volatility currently expanding, and it's going to remain down as long as you're closing below $64,355. Sure, you are very close to that area, but you do have 21 days left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land, and it is very possible for us to get that move into $70,000 and then close below 64,000 before the end of the month. And that would be very ugly if that were to happen, because that would put in quite a massive shooting star dildo on the monthly, and then you're likely going to get a move into the monthly 100, which is currently sitting right around $48,000 to $49,000. And the monthly 100 is where you have bottomed out off of FTX and off of basically COVID right here. We kind of front ran it a little bit. Pretty cool with that monthly volatility setup currently firing off. And you are currently putting in possibility of hidden bullish divergence, because you have taken out these previous lows on momentum, with price still making a higher low from this region here. But this is going to require a close back over this high. It's 82,800 to confirm. Unlikely as of now. Probably more likely once you get that move into the 100, you go sideways for a little bit, and then it'll be easier to confirm, and then you can send it up. and quarterly is still flipped down as long as you're closing below $113,200. This pivot was previously below $101,000. It did go up a lot, and if you were to come back up and retest this area, your 9 and 5 EMA cross here, this would put you right around $71,000 to $72,000, putting in your next lower high, and then you get your next dumping action move into somewhere around that $49,000 region. Alrighty. So on the very low time frames right now on Bitcoin, I do think you're going to likely continue to see maybe a little bit of a pullback into somewhere around that mid 63,000 region, 63.5, possibly down to lower 63s. But I do think you will see expansion from there based off of the medium term time frames, like the daily, which is still flipped up, the 2-day, which is still flipped up, and now very close to entering into the bullish control zone. Plus, you're putting in bullish divergences on all of your medium time frames. So from there, I do think from there, if that 63s area does hold on, if you retest it, that would bring you into somewhere around 66 to 67,000, which will then put into play more higher term bullish divergences, which then leads you into somewhere around 70,000 to possibly 72,000. But if that were to happen, that would be literally exactly what's been happening since or what happened in 2018, where you get that bullish divergence into summer, which leads you into a rally into August, which then goes sideways for a little bit, and then somewhere around November is where you get your lower low, and that would be currently a move into that EMA cluster on the high time frames, 5 and 9, right around 71, 72,000, lining up with the move in August of 2018, and then you go sideways for a little bit, and then you get your move down to $49,000 to $48,000 towards the end of the year, which would be exactly the same as what happened in 2018. Plus, you also have a lot of the setups matching that with your bullish divergences the same. You got which lead into a hidden bearish divergence, the same that we had in 2018, basically the same as what's playing out as of this moment. Although we are front running a little bit of things, but kind of looking exactly the same. So as long as we are closing monthlies below around $82,000, this is likely just going to lead into a lower high somewhere around that $70,000 region, and then probably going to get your next dumping action into that 49-ish thousand, 48,000, and then we can hope and pray that somewhere between 44 and 49,000, 48,000 is where we can find our next macro bottom before the next busting action in the next couple of years. Who knows how many years? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, what a nice busting action move today. But today's close is going to be very important, kind of to dictate next week. Oh, 1 second. There we go. You do see you're right at that daily EMA 34, and price is going to be flirting with that. It's going to be a bull and bear battle until you actually get the daily candle closure above that. To me, this will be my confirmation now that we are actually going to break out of the 65K range and actually start moving towards your 69,000 on Bitcoin. Right into the daily EMA 100 is really right on 69,000. That to me makes a very nice area of interest, specifically when you do start playing that daily EMA 34. You can see this is what's separating us from a big gap up. But we just can't forget, this is still solid resistance. We've seen solid rejections here. Not to say this isn't going to get reclaimed, but at this point, might as well just wait for the reclaim. We see here 62.2 has been continuing to hold. You even got the expansion up and then bounce off of the daily EMA 9. So you have hit the target for today, daily EMA 34. And the objective now is just simply going to be July 6 high. Essentially, bulls just want to take that out. Now, we missed it by like $10, so something to note there. And you are now, only a few dollars away, about maybe 200 away from the daily EMA 34. So if you do end up seeing today's closing back above 64K, and also over the weekend it continued to hold its daily EMA 34, well, that'll be a shift of structure right here. Price structure has been held down by the 34. You will also notice that the daily 21 has been rejecting us. Now price is holding back above it. Plays into the idea that, yeah, maybe then 65K isn't going to reject, but we are actually going to fill some of this red dildo, party out and move towards daily EMA 100, which, again, that's a big spot. Firstly, have your 2021 market cycle high sitting at 69,000. That's a big spot in its own self, but also your daily EMA 100. and that's at 69,000 exactly. Let's see here. Now, 2-day is right at the 21, similar to daily's perspective, which is just right near daily EMA 34, at least signaling to you that most likely you should just be waiting for the daily candle closure to at minimum dictate the 2-day, because you are now pressed up against resistance. You are kind of in an interesting spot in the 2-day where you have a lower low that was formed in June. And now here you have a lower high, and you actually haven't taken out this high, which was July 6 high. You are now at resistance, and again, still caught between this range. Does not mean it won't break out, but just signaling to me that this isn't like the big area of interest that Bitcoin's going to break out. This is still in an interesting spot, which really could just start rejecting and coming back down to 60K. Understand that that move down to 60K could just, form an inverse head and shoulder pattern here, a typical pattern formation that you would see towards the end of a major downtrend. So, I mean, there are points here for bulls. It is just more still a wait and watch approach. If you have longed and caught that, it's good, but you're just still within the range. You've caught in a 62.2 support retest, moved up towards 65K. It's exactly what we were seeing here in February, March, April, where this range was very well respected. And let's not forget, like, we were very easily able to come all the way up and hold 65K and then move up to 69. The difference now is you've been consolidating under 65K. If you can see here, it's like the consolidation. So you're actually getting the opposite effect if you really look at that. This was holding as support. You can just see this resulted into a breakout. This easily still could result into a breakdown, especially with still that 2-day trend still down. So that is just something to really be watching. Again, doesn't mean it won't result into a bull break, but you will simply want to wait for the daily close today. That'll be my first big key interest. Okay, are we about to reclaim the 34? Actually take out July 6 wick high. That'll then equate to a move up to 69. And at least then you do see, once that criteria hits, we'll just take it from July 6 high. It's about 6.5%. Let me see here. So even the 2-day still, telling a bull story potentially, but still looking to me bearish. Now let's look at the HPDR and see here. Okay, so yeah, even pressing a breakout, but you got to get back above this 2-day 21. Again, that's just been the spot that's been rejecting price since Bitcoin was trading in the $75,000 to $78,000. Oh, 1 second. Let me let my dog in. So now with the weekly, you are getting expansion off the SMA 200. Let me get the rainbow chart off so we can see that. That was a big thing for us going into this week, but the issue is now we're under the weekly EMA 5. So this is instantly meaning that this is still in weak posturing, very close to a reclaim here, which again, you can see will start giving you that move up to possibly that weekly 9. And that is sitting at 66,500. But still, I mean, even despite last week's major green dildo, and even this week's move up, today's move up, you do see that price is still putting in bearish posturing here. Like, that is still evident on the 2-day, which then means it's evident on the 5-day and the weekly and the bi-weekly and the monthly. That does not mean it won't shift, but that's exactly why I've been saying the 12-hour, 4-hour, and daily is going to be really important for bulls to shift up. Now, we talked a lot about the 4-hour, and if we just go back, we can really see, okay, EMA 100 into Wednesday really was kind of a trap, reclaim. You haven't even retested it. You've just been holding the 4-hour buy trigger that was, I guess, triggering yesterday. Now, the 4-hour is back in an uptrend, so that's good. But again, still at resistance, and we've seen this before. 4-hour back in an uptrend, resistance bound, hits at 65K, and that's actually what took us back down to the 58s. Now, the 12-hour is good. We do see that we've gotten back above the 12-hour EMA 9, but you do see that you're still under your 100, still referencing that 65K resistance, pretty massive. And you're just going to note that you have, a little bit of price divergence here, sneaky, but still price divergence that is relevant when you're still pressing the weekly EMA 5. Understand now this 12-hour volatility setup is on the verge of firing off. Perhaps over the weekend, we are going to get a setup firing off here. We do have a setup, so this could easily start firing off today, tomorrow, i.e. the weekend. And now we see the moving average is breaking. Once you do see 12-hour volatility above 15%, you are now firing off this setup. As long as you are under this 12-hour EMA 100, though, this is not going to fire to the upside. So you are going to be wanting to watch that. So we're very close to even this local, potentially locally topped in the 12-hour. And I say that because you have not hit this 12-hour EMA 100 since May. So this is a massive zone. You can see prices tried to go up to it, but every attempt has just been sold off. And again, this is why going back to July 6th, we really need to take this high out if you're a bull. Because again, there's nothing really stopping price from at least going back to 63.3 from here, retesting your 12-hour 9. But again, most importantly, with this volatility setup now in the 12-hour, it kind of shifts things for me. And saying you really do need to start seeing the 65K reclaimed, or even daily EMA 34 reclaimed, or you are just going to run the risk of a major move coming off this 12-hour volatility setup. Let's kind of look at the last 12-hour volatility setups we had. So here on July 1st, I guess, you actually had one. This is what's taking you up to that high of July 6th. So it took 6 days to play out. But this is what took you to that high. Really fast, I'll measure it from this point here up. So yeah, that was about an 8%. And then another, easy one I'll show was here. And this again, now was to the downside. You do notice here the expansion. And this was about 9% down. And then again, last biggest one, bigger than the last two I just showed, was here. And look at that. It was right off your 12-hour EMA 100. You lost it. And then that led to the expansion of volatility, which actually took us to 3 extreme reads. And that gave price essentially about a 20% move down on average. So kind of, plays into the idea an 8% move is coming here. Let's just measure that from both sides. Just real basic analysis. Well, let's just kind of get a perspective, right? So that either then plays out the inverse head and shoulders, and we do end up coming back down closer to 60K, or to the upside. Let's see. So that does take you to 69,000. So you can see that really the 65K, if we are going up, is not going to be that relevant. And again, that just is why it makes it pretty important now for this daily EMA 34 to actually get closures above. Very simply put, that's just an easy perspective now, because we now know the 12-hour has an actual setup. This is a daily buy trigger pending, and the outcome will be that 12-hour volatility setup playing out towards 69K. Or versus, we get the inverse head and shoulders, or we get a breakdown here. Now, it's going to be a lot harder to be playing this, by the way, if we get that. This will be like, a lot less confirmation on your end for a bull, more, kind of hopium, but still a pattern nevertheless. But understand you will be in a daily sell trigger. You have that 12-hour volatility setup fired off. And the hopium is that this is just a throwback. But again, many things on the weekly and higher time frame saying it's a concerning bet. But hey, I do see a bullish kind of case to be made if we end up coming back down to 60,000 and it holds. But again, the outcome still is we're going to go lower from here unless two things: July 6th wick highs out, gets taken out, or even your daily 34 gets a reclaim. So now we understand, yeah, the 4 hour is looking bullish, uptrend. But July 6th, you got to take the highs out. Price divergence here, not good. And then also the 12 hour is right under resistance, along with that daily. Now the 12 hour volatility is going to be, kind of our big point here today. Now, if we go to the 5 day and keep moving, you can see you just hit your 5 day EMA 9. Again, just playing into the point, fully ready for a bullish environment and even a bullish spark. But I just need patience here. I'm not fully ready to become a bull quite yet. And even here, despite my 63.5 stop loss taken out of my short, I guess yesterday, no reason here to still flip bullish. Now just in observation mode. You do see you've now just hit your 5 day EMA 9 for the first time since the capitulation candle in May. Remember, you hit your 5 day EMA 9 and then you went down 13% on a closing basis. You can see the rejections have been right off your 5 day EMA 5 and really in a basic kind of trading system. We have seen here, let me just see. That the 5 day EMA 9 ends up actually holding quite well. You can see on major moves down, it's all about the 5 day EMA 9 on kind of a lower time frame perspective. Getting back above it does mean we start moving up. But also, if you start rejecting it, that is just the easy spot to short. Now, I'll throw off all the moving averages so we can really just see how well Bitcoin respects the 5 day EMA 9. Reclaims and holds, you move up. Even here on this false or even fake rejection or loss of support, it still ended up going down. Let's measure that really fast just to kind of see. That was still an 8% move on a failure. Here, this was a failure as well, but still gave you about a 18% each rejection off the 5 day EMA 9. Here was another failure, but still gave you on wick basis about a 13%. And vice versa. Look at to the upside, right? It holds it. You're moving up 14%, 13.4. And then look at this. You come down again and retest it. And then you move up 22%. So if you can just see here in this downtrend starting October, the 5 day EMA 9 has actually been very well respected. Look at the trap here of the deviation leading down. This setup at least took you down 30%. Look at the move when we went up to daily SMA 200, monthly EMA 9. This was about 15% trailing the 5 day 9. Had you literally just put a trading system here, I'm just going to long a reclaim of the 5 day 9 and short the loss of it, you would have overall been profitable. So why is this relevant now? It's just because you haven't hit this in a while. So I think that is still quite relevant and just plays into the idea that, look at this, even the 5 day is still in a downtrend. You can argue it is getting more weaker, the downtrend. You are putting in more shallow lower highs, more easier for bulls to break. But still, I see a pretty easy downtrend for us to play still. Okay. Let's see what we just tested here. Right, your 5 day median along with your 9. When was the last time you had your 5 day 9 and your median basically touching tips? Well, it was in the May dump here. And then you had it touching tips here in the April rally. I think that's interesting. Here, the January dump was touching tips, stayed under the median, rejected. Here, touching tips, and then moved up. So the point I'm trying to make is it makes it pretty powerful when you have these two touching tips. So That's at 64,300. To me, that does seem like an easy short. And if you want an easy perspective on when we're wrong on this, just take out July 6 high. So that means that you do have somewhat of an easy risk to reward here. Just depending on, how close you get to July 6 high. We got $10 away. So very close, honestly. But again, this is why still I'm not here to just be only a perma bear, but it's just the perspective is still, the better trade is still shorting in this region unless you do actually start getting that daily EMA 34. That's always been my criteria on kind of that bigger move up towards the 100. So no surprises on that. But yeah, we'll keep going now. And so the median drop, let's see, will take you bottom 38.2%, would take you down to 58K. So you're testing the lows. Shh, be quiet. Yeah, all the animals are being extra crazy today. Molly, stop. They feel more wild because they're in the mountains now. They feel more in their nature. Let's see here. So now we can just basically summarize everything with the monthly. And so the monthly summarizes nicely, really, and this does dictate on the daily, because understand if you do start reclaiming that daily 34, it is just going to, in theory, mean that this monthly 61.8% will get reclaimed. It can be an easy gauge on when we can actually start longing. But if you do see here, you've hit your monthly 61.8%, almost to the T, basically. And now the next setup is saying rejection likely, monthly 9 and 21 have crossed. Let's throw on our 5 real fast just to kind of see. Okay, so you haven't even hit your 5. Confluence of 69,000 being major resistance with your monthly 5. But now the next target is 78.6%. That puts Bitcoin at a new low, and that means 49,000 is still the target. I do find that very interesting, honestly, when you are looking at kind of what I just shared about the 5-day 9, 5-day median, weekly lower high, daily price divergence, 12-hour price divergence, 2-day downtrend. So we do want to be watching this, especially when you do see that 12-hour volatility is giving a setup. That doesn't mean this is just going to reject immediately, but still, we have still an actionable monthly setup. Now, as Farhano mentioned, 21 days is an eternity in crypto land. So why we just still want to be watching and respecting this, because even if Bitcoin rallies up, you are to the books supposed to be looking for a lower high on the macro still. Like that is still the accurate call out, lower high if we rallied up. Understanding almost 2.5 months. Well, it did take 2.5 months, almost 3 to actually produce the lower high. So if we ended up rallying, then there's your multiple months of chop. Maybe towards the end of the year, we do dump then. But still not actionable as long as you're under the 61.8. And especially, I mean, look at the monthly 5. You can see 2023 October, I believe that's the Hamas setup. We went up, and then look at you were just trailing the monthly 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4 months. So it can absolutely just keep being a big spot for price here. So that's a good way to summarize things, I believe, on Bitcoin. We're in just a big resistance zone. The ranges are still really, honestly, being well respected. And if you're a range trader, you're quite happy and excited about kind of price action that you've seen, because this range was firstly massive, and so far it does seem like it's still well respected. So watch daily 34. Let me see here. Let me go here to Solana real fast, because look at Solana. As Bitcoin is looking good, and the question is, are we going to move up? Is an 8% move coming? What do you notice on Sol here? Well, actually, Sol looks dramatically weak. We even wanted that move up to the 85s. We didn't get. Let's see where that daily EMA 100 is as well. Okay, so we've actually fallen below EMA 100. And we do see that under EMA 100, and this bear market has just been the death sentence for Solana. Each and every time you've reclaimed your EMA 100 and then lost it, it's led to new lows on Sol. Here's your first time, new lows. Here was the rejection of it, new lows. Here was the deviation, new lows. Bear market started in October. So this entire bear market, that's been just the easy setup. Deviation of daily EMA 100 and or rejection, and you short Solana. That's why at ETA we gave a Solana short. You do see it's looking weak. Now, I'm not here to just look at Solana only, but you do have a nice indication on kind of what the market's thinking based on Sol. It is looking quite weak, very, very weak. You're in a daily breakdown on the verge. You're holding above $75, but once this becomes lost, you are breaking back down towards 57. You have your deviation. You've lost your daily median. Let's actually check that 12-hour volatility setup. So the 12-hour volatility setup was firing off. No, it is firing off. And this is firing off to the downside. So again, little maybe indication on Bitcoin. I always think Solana is kind of a market leader, and it is breaking down. So that is just something to be watching as, again, we're in kind of a resistance zone on Bitcoin heading into the weekend. Now we can go to tether dominance. You can see here that I wanted that actually daily EMA 34 to actually hold. That was a big point of my analysis yesterday, and it just did not. We actually deviated the 8.567% and actually rejected it. But does this diminish the idea? No, it does not. We were actually looking for kind of a trend shift here, some kind of higher low to be put in. As you can see, we drew this out. Now, again, as Bitcoin has price divergence, tether dominance has price divergence. And just basically is meaning that bulls are trying to defend the local low, all while bears are trying to defend the local high, i.e. lower high, higher low, question mark. And you can just see really where it's, yes, we have a nice green day, but this still hasn't put Bitcoin bulls out of the woods yet at all. You really start putting price divergence, no daily breakdown. You did now get the predictable 8.567% rejection, but this didn't take you to new lows. And now if bulls actually end up getting a reclaim here, you'll actually reclaim your, daily EMA 34, daily 5, and your daily median. Those are all big spots to reclaim, indicating to you that, yeah, you absolutely could retest these wick highs brought to you on July 8th and 9th. So for what I wanted was a move yesterday or last night, today, it could just be delayed and potentially it could come over the weekend into next week. Perfectly okay. I do still stand on my idea, though. If we don't see Bitcoin break down by next week, I do think the bottom at least is being put in locally, and we are just going to go in for a monthly lower high, which I showed took about 2.5 months. So it is going to be pretty big. It's a race against time. I'm not really looking for the end of July to start moving us down. It's all about the beginning of July. We do have some bear moons incoming the next few days. And so that at least gives me confluence that, yes, we should at least see some bear action going into next week. And if we don't, 65 reclaims, the move to 69K starts happening. We reclaim daily EMA 100. This is when you have to start considering a move up to 74s and possibly a move up to 76 just on a monthly basis or monthly perspective. So going back to tether dominance, it's still looking good, but you got to start seeing bulls really pick up here sooner rather than later, or the whole price divergence idea will get thrown out of the window. We will take this low out. We will start breaking down towards the EMA 100. What does that basically correlate to? A move to the daily EMA 100 on Bitcoin, 69,000. But you can have legitimate reasons on why this should hold. And if you're shorting Bitcoin currently, you have some pretty easy areas on where you're wrong. And if you're not shorting, just wait for the reclaim here, 8.567%. As you can see, you'll have a move all the way up to the 8.8% pretty easily. In between the weekly 9 and the 5. Pick a move. Come on, tether dominance, up or down. But yeah, you're just between the 5 and the 9. You are putting in a pretty nasty candle here, but you have 2 days left to confirm it. What we've seen before is these candles develop bad, and then slowly get the reclaim. Like, look at this candle. It was looking bad. I even remember this candle was red in May 18th. And then right before the close, bulls stuck the landing and reclaimed the 9. So we need to be watching this 5. Again, doesn't mean anything, but just that the weekly's closing in 2 days. You want a deviation here as a Bitcoin bull. As a Bitcoin bear, you need this to just start getting up. You don't want this to start turning into a deviation because you've seen some pretty harsh rejections in this region before. So you're at the 5-day EMA 9. Point for Bitcoin bulls is you've lost your 5-day median and you've even rejected it. But you can see that if you do start getting back above the 8.567%, there will be nothing stopping price from actually going back to 9%. This 9% is when Bitcoin makes its lows, just so you're aware. So you're, it's close to a move down, but you're closer to a move up. This could just retest the median at minimum. There's your almost 7%, and it's almost like then that 12-hour volatility setup may fire to the downside on Bitcoin. So yeah, 12 hours giving a volatility setup. We are potentially going to put in a SFP play, watch the 12-hour EMA 100, and pay attention to the median. Understand if this 12-hour 9 gets reclaimed, this will instantly put, I guess, tether dominance on the 12-hour and bullish posturing with the target closer, well, to at least the wick high of 8.7%, but in all reality, closer to 9%. We can just see, right, if you reclaim back above the 9, SFP the 100, you can see big moves have occurred off the 100. You easily can move back up to 8.6%. So again, why, if you're a Bitcoin bull, you need to see a move here rather soon. And bears are just simply looking to keep this energy until the daily close today. Nice. So you have just hit your monthly median almost. Essentially, have hit it. And so now you do see, technically, this is still giving you an all-time high target. And it's still saying as long as you do hold the monthly median, you are going to start moving up towards 11%. This is a pretty big monthly volatility setup. Still, well, I believe, still firing off. And this is just perfect trend. Higher low right off the median. Every time does bull market on tether dominance, bear market on Bitcoin. Every single time the monthly median has been hit, you have gotten a reaction. Look at the last time you hit it. This gave you a 34% reaction, and it did start into that month of July where you hit it. So that could be the equivalent of it just starting into, it started into May. My apologies. It could be the equivalent of into July. It hits it and just starts moving up. And then into August, you really start pumping. Regardless, hard to be a bull here on Bitcoin when you are still in higher low and you've hit your median. You're putting a nice SR potentially of previous all-time highs, resistance into support. So I would be watching very carefully the dailies again. Dailies is going to be what kind of guides you here. Is July 6th low going to get taken out? And are we actually going to get back above 8.567%? You can see that rejected us today. So if you actually reclaim today's open, then that'll be your indication we are breaking out and potentially moving up to 9%, i.e. maybe Bitcoin's going to make a new low. Now, we talked a lot about Dixie last stream. I just want to quickly check on it wherever my Dixie chart may be. Here it is. Let's kind of see. Okay, so you have still price divergence. It's in a big, tricky spot. But what we can see is if you look at the 2-day, it does become more clear that this is still bullish consolidation. You will just really need to start seeing that 101 get reclaimed on Dixie. This at least indicates to me Dixie will play a part into a move on risk into next week. And wherever this actually breaks, will make that move, in my opinion. So still more likely to break to the upside, but you can see into next week, if you really start closing under 101, this could instantly put this in an SFP setup, and then you break down. But I do see here, this should end up giving some kind of move by next week. So dollar is still looking good, but the 2-day says got to start moving soon. Let's go to the weekly, which has been the most important perspective. And so you are still under your weekly 100, but you are now retesting your weekly 5. This is important. The weekly 5 has been rejecting, and your last lower high was made off the 5. Now you have price divergence to the upside. That's good, but you got to start seeing, in my opinion, June 15th high, these highs here taken out. The high is specifically 59.41%. You start taking this out, Bitcoin dominance is going to break out. And that probably equates to a Bitcoin breaking out. But still, in this perspective, we are still really retesting resistance. So the weekly 100 is your spot you need to see reclaimed. And even your daily here can absolutely test your 34. And if it ends up holding your 34, is when you can actually break out of here and go closer to 59.3%. Taking out that 59.4% possibly high. So good developing price action here, in my opinion. Let's see if we get the good weekly close this weekend. If we do, that's awesome. Most likely will result into a weekly 100 throwback and then maybe a move up. But if you end up rejecting here, watch your weekly 100. That's been solid resistance. And you got the breakout. From it, you got the breakdown. Now you've hit it, you've gotten a little past it, playing into the idea that we're still in a pretty interesting spot on crypto, could easily reject from here. But again, if like the daily 34 ends up reclaiming, your monthly 5 reclaims, and then your daily 34 on Bitcoin reclaims, okay, now we actually have some things to talk about for bulls to shift. So in my opinion, Bitcoin is at resistance in that 65K. This is going to be a big spot of, I believe, determination on if we're going to actually break out to 69,000 or not. We very easily could just end up rejecting this region. Again, still forming a weekly lower high and rolling over to new lows. That's why if you're a Bitcoin bull, you're really looking for a spring. Should be no question about it. Weekly SMA 200 reclaimed. You've held it, and you just need a spring. You need to see a multi-$1,000 green dildo up, in my opinion, towards this weekly 9. Getting back above 65K could mean that you easily get a retest, and this gears up for a move to 69 very easily. But if you end up rejecting here, this will be another hindsight trade. The next HBDR objective is new lows. And if you end up rejecting, this is just, again, a lower high play in a series of lower high plays on Bitcoin. So be fully aware of that. We're in a very big spot. I'm not trying to only be bearish, but I can see that we are now at the spot that rejected massively before. And if you end up reclaiming the daily 34 and getting back above 65K, that's your bull trigger to 69,000. But until then, I'm just not going to be, late to the party now. I'm not going to start longing here with no reclaim over the weekend when we even have a bullish pattern putting in an inverse head and shoulders potential. So I'd much rather just wait. And we even get your 2-day breakout once you get back above 65K, which means that literally what you've seen so far is just the potential of a breakout. You're not breaking out yet. Your 2-day volatility is even contracting. So let's say this inverse head and shoulders pattern does form. That could just lead to a 2-day volatility contraction, a retest, and then a breakout. Meaning you should have no FOMO if you're a bull. You actually should have, in my opinion, you should be more on the trigger to short in this region and really paying attention to resistance at this daily 34. So 65K is the big spot. That's the determination on if you're moving to 69. And it will start into next week if you continue to hold the daily 34. That's at 64K. Until then, you are now putting in a pretty easy bear setup here. You've taken out my stop loss for ETA, so I will just be waiting until next week for new shorts. And if you deviate 62.2 is when I'll start actually shorting before the new week. even into the weekend, but that would mean I need to actually really start seeing bears reject hard. 62.2 down to 60,000 is still a pretty good short and good risk to reward. And if you're, shorting here, understand your stop loss now is July 6th. That's just your big stop loss. That's where you're wrong. And you're looking at today's high to be basically in. You can't go much higher than 10. You can't go much closer than $10 away from this potential lower high. So you should be then on the camp that the local top is in, or this is going to trend shift and break out. So that's all I have on the Bitcoins.
Perfect. All righty, boys. I'm gonna run after this because I got the game. So Farhan, you think we're gonna see Bitcoin retracing back to 63,500?
Yeah, 63 to
lows,
65.
and then from there go up.
Yeah, if we hold 63 on at least on a minimum 4-hour basis, like no 4-hour closes below 63, then I think we'll go from there to test like 66, 67.
Okay. And then once you break out from there, 69, then after that, 72, 71, whatever the fuck, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Alex, you're saying we got to get over 65, otherwise he's going to go back down. If he breaks down 62, if he breaks down from 62.2, then you're going to short that area. And for now, it's just waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, perfecto. Thank you very much, boys. I'll do the draw, and I'll see you Monday.
Muchas gracias, señor. Enjoy your game.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Should be fucking good.
Buenas tardes and hasta luego.
Take it easy.
Cabrones and cabronas.
Peace out, boys.
See ya. Voy a hacer rápido el sorteo de Bitunix. Vamos a regalar estos $6,000 de una vez, damas y caballeros. Esto es para toda la gente que está tradeando con nosotros en ¿cómo se llama? En Bitunix. ¿Qué es lo que tienen que hacer para participar en esto? Lo único que tienen que saber es en el sitio de Elite Trading Academy, en Tutos, tenemos un video que te enseña cómo tradear en Bitunix. Viendo este video, y aquí abajo tienes un enlace para hacerlo. Es completamente gratis, obviamente. Este es el enlace que te va a suscribir a todo esto. Y obviamente tiene reglas, ¿no? Tienes que depositar, tienes que hacer trades. Pero si nada más te quieres llevar el dinero, no lo hagas, porque es dinero para tradear. Entonces no vas a poder ganar nada si no sabes hacer nada de esto. No lo hagas. Esto solamente es para gente que ya está tradeando y que, pues, güey, mejor abro la cuenta acá. ¿Por qué no? Para participar en esto. Porque han visto cuánta gente repetida gana acá. Porque hay muy poca gente haciendo esto. Ustedes son los soldados del mercado bajista, tienen que entenderlo. No hay nadie en cripto, nadie. Porque todos perdieron todo su puto dinero. Lo bueno es que nosotros estamos apenas comenzando nuestro juego. Voy a empezar con los $500. Vamos a ver quién se lleva estos $500 el día de hoy. Tenemos 2 ganadores, pueden ver acá. Y voy a empezar de una vez. Vámonos con el primer ganador, damas y caballeros, de estos deliciosos $500. Y ahorita les doy el análisis de Bitcoin. El análisis de los Bitcoin más potente. Ok, ya, bueno, basta. No. Primer ganador, lun@gmail.com. Felicidades, mi estimado. Te llevas $500 para tradear en Bitunix. Lo único que tienes que hacer es picarle aquí en la campanita, arriba a la derecha, y ahí te va a dar un cupón para que lo puedas tradear en futuros en Bitunix. Vamos con el siguiente ganador de los $500. Por favor, no seas el mismo. No, que el miércoles se llevó un cabrón $2,500 de los 3,000 que había. Pero hay muy poca gente haciendo esto, de verdad. Ustedes son unos soldados, mis estimados. Dante, felicidades, mi estimado. Te llevas estos $500 en USDT. ¿Cómo de que no? Cerrando, vámonos a los $1,000. $1,000 para cada uno de ustedes. Vamos a ver quién se los va a llevar. El primer ganador es 6NE. No, no es cierto. Vamos a ver. Buena aplicación que armó el equipo de Bitunix para hacer esto, No voy a negarlo. Vamos a ver quién es el ganador. Voy a adivinar que tu nombre es Santiago algo a gmail.com. Felicidades, mi estimado. Te llevas $1,000 para tradear en Bitunix el día de hoy. ¿Cómo de que no? Vamos por el segundo ganador de estos $1,000. A ver si se los lleva alguien que ya se ganó los $500 o alguien fresco, alguien nuevo. Hasta ahorita no ha habido repetición de esto, Me gusta. Voy a tener que acabar esto en putiza, que tengo que largarme para el partido de Bélgica contra España. ¿Quién es el ganador ahora? ¡Ah, cabrón! Te llevaste $2,000, hijo de puta. Felicidades, cabrón. ¿Ven? No estoy mamando cuando les digo que hay muy poca gente participando. Felicidades, mi estimado. Te llevas $2,000, 2 boletos, 2 cupones de $1,000 cada uno. Vamos a ver si también te llevas uno de 1,500, que sería ya la hostia. Güey, es que 8 de la mañana, Vladimir Putin y Trump. Vamos a ver, ahí están los dos ganadores. Le piqué, perdón, Rod, que llevaste, no te llevaste los 500, te llevas $1,500. Y Joel, que también habías ganado antes, muchas felicidades, te llevas otros $1,500 con el equipo de Bitunix y el E-Trading Academy. ¿Cómo chingados no? Sí. Pongo esto para que vean mi playera de España, como de que no, chingada madre, que mi mujer es española, así que si me van a estar chingando, eres un pinche mamador de conveniencia. Si es, eso sí, no me lo tienes que repetir, pero también mi mujer es española y eso me hace sentir mejor de mí mismo. Vámonos con las tablas de Bitcoin. Esta es la tabla que les quería enseñar en la mañana. Es la misma tabla que tenía antes, simplemente populó. No me pregunten por qué. Esto es Bitcoin en contra del Dow Jones, ¿no? Esto es Bitcoin cuando Bitcoin está en los topes y esto es cuando Bitcoin está barato. Pueden ver que acá Bitcoin en el 2022 tuvo la primera caída del S&P 200 y luego tuvo una segunda. Pueden ver cómo Bitcoin tuvo la primera caída en el S&P 200 y luego la segunda. Interesante, ¿no? Si les pongo acá también el mismo ejercicio con Bitcoin y voy y les pongo el S&P 500, si me da la tabla apropiada, esta mamada sin hacer estas pendejadas, es lo mismo. Y pueden ver la caída tan dramática que ha tenido Bitcoin comparada con el ciclo del 2022. En el 2018 ni siquiera tuvimos eso. Para mí, Bitcoin, comprar Bitcoin, pues, cripto, lo que quieras, está en una muy buena posición, en mi opinión. Vamos a ver si vamos a tener ese buen bajón otra vez de vuelta. Una cosa que me parece interesante es, en lo que estamos haciendo acá, nuevos mínimos contra los índices tradicionales. Cuando les pongo Bitcoin USD contra el oro, mis estimados, en una tabla semanal igual que esta, pueden notar que Bitcoin justamente está haciendo bajos más altos contra el oro. Y este podría ser el principio, porque una vez que lo hicimos acá, fue el principio de la remontada, ¿no? De Bitcoin. Y acá pueden ver que literalmente volvimos a hacer un doble fondo en el 2018 de esto. Pero fue muy diferente el patrón. Se parece más Bitcoin oro a lo que estamos viendo ahorita, pero normalmente después de este tipo de cosas deberías de ver un doble fondo estilo 2018 o un hombro cabeza a hombro como el que vimos acá atrás en el 2020. Nada más interesante, cosas interesantes que enseñarles. Les voy a dar justamente lo que dicen y lo que están viendo Alex y Farhan en putiza para que no se queden solamente con mi análisis de pendejo. Espérame, no sé por qué fui ahí. Aquí está. Justo ayer en la clase estábamos platicando de esto. Excelente movida de los Bitcoin. Hasta ahorita vamos imitando perfectamente el ciclo de 2018. Ahorita les platico de mis estupideces. Pero primero vamos con lo que dicen ellos. Los voy a llevar a la diaria. Y básicamente Alex dice, esto es Alex, ¿ok? Venimos, el promedio del 34 es la línea blanca que ven acá. Y nos rechazó acá, y acá tiene cara que nos va a volver a rechazar. Esto hasta que no se lleve los $65,000. Él continúa pensando que este rechazo nos llevará a ver nuevos mínimos, a mínimos 56 para empezar. ¿Ok? Que si el fin de semana o en cuanto pierda los 62,200, que es básicamente esta zona, pierdes los 62,200, él le haría corto a esta zona, ¿ok? Ahorita no va a meter las manos porque puede que haya un cambio de tendencia, pero él favorece más a que esto simplemente sea un rechazo de esta zona para después continuar para abajo. Lo que dice Farhan es un poco diferente. Farhan dice que probablemente vayamos a retestear esta zona, donde está el promedio del 5 en los 63,300 a los 73, que él quiere ver simplemente arriba de 63. Básicamente esto, que aguante el promedio del 9, el 21 y no cerrar ninguna vela por debajo de los 63, ni siquiera de 4 horas. Siempre y cuando haga eso, siguiente objetivo va a ser tu promedio del 55 diario acá en los 65, 790, 66, y de ahí puedes ir al promedio del 100 en los 68. Una vez que rompas los 68, ya podemos estar hablando de irnos a a los 70, 72, etcétera, ¿no? Que es también ya lo que Farhan está dándole más al escenario D, porque ya se dieron cuenta, bueno, él ya está notando que se parece al ciclo del 2018. Entonces, Farhan dice, no caigas de 63 en cierres de 4 horas, ¿no? Que no cierres debajo de 63. Con eso deberías de ir a ver los 66, 68. Alex dice que hasta que no puedas superar este máximo de acá, que está ahí juntito, o el de los, y de ahí llevarte los 65 para arriba, que esto va para abajo, él no va a meter las manos hasta que rompas los 62, 200, y ahí es donde haces el corto para continuar para abajo. ¿Ok? Entonces, ahí tienen dos diferentes tipos de trades. Entrar en un long acá, básicamente en los 63, 300, con una invalidación en la parte baja de esta vela, o con un cierre debajo de 4 horas, o corto, pues ir de desesperado y hacerlo aquí y poner la invalidación acá, que se me hace una pésima idea, pero cada quien. Alex no está sugiriendo eso, simplemente estoy diciéndoles cuál sería el primer paso de esto. Lo que sugiere Alex es, si esta mamada llega a perder los 62, 200, ahí es donde haces el corto, ¿ok? Para que lo tengamos claro. Ahora, la vista semanal, por lo que los 62, 200 valen verga, en mi opinión, es esta. Lo importante son los altos 62, casi 63, acá, que es la zona donde me gustaría ver un retesteo. Para entrar en un long delicioso con unas buenas probabilidades de continuar a la alza. ¿Ok? Sería bastante buena. Yo simplemente, y una vez más, les estoy enseñando el ciclo del 2018, que es con lo que he estado comparando todo esto y ha funcionado perfecto. Tenemos este mínimo de acá, un mínimo más bajo acá, que en el 2008 fueron 5,000, fueron $6,000, luego 5,800 y luego fueron 5,700. Básicamente divídelo entre 10, ¿no? Porque ahorita estás en 10 veces el múltiplo de ese ciclo. Tienes estas dos velas de aquí abajo y ahora tendrías que tener esta vela que viene de acá para hacer esto, más o menos por acá, quedarte en otra por acá y después tener una vela que te haga esto y llevarte. En mi opinión eran los 74, 73, es lo que les había dicho, simplemente comparando el pompazo de acá a acá con el nuevo. Entonces, acuérdense, estas dos velas por ahora es con lo que los voy a guiar en esto, llevarlos al 2018. Aquí estamos. Estas dos velas básicamente son las que estamos viendo ahorita. Esta es la que estás viendo ahorita formarse. Y antes de la subida, como siempre, ¿qué es lo que hace Bitcoin? Que es una mierda. Viene y retestea. ¿Dónde retesteó? 60,000, atentos. Retesteó los 6,000. Entonces, un retesteo de 6,000. Y quiero que noten, ¿no? 60,000. Aquí que fue 5,900. O sea, por $100 o $1,000, como lo quieras ver. Y aquí abajo, ¿cuál es el fondo de esto? 5,700. ¿Cuál fue el fondo ahorita? 57,000. Por 10. Nada mal, ¿no? Y ahorita justamente estamos en este nivel, por lo que pueden ver que tuvimos este retesteo de acá, que básicamente el truco es hacer a toda la gente que está en el campo de los bajistas que crean que están en lo correcto cuando venga a tomar esta liquidez, pero una vez más, estás en esta vela, tío. Vaya que me salió chueca. Estás en esta vela. Esta verde. ¿Ok? Esto es donde estás ahorita. Entonces deberías de ver el cierre de semana acá, deberías de ver la próxima negándotelo y ya después tus zampompazos para no darle a todo el mundo tan fácil esto, aunque literalmente está siguiendo el mismo puto paso. De ahí, lo padre de Bitcoin fue esta gatada donde simplemente hizo bajos más altos. Toda la gente que dijo, güey, voy a comprar en octubre, llegó a septiembre, octubre, no bajaba y no se llevaba el mínimo. Y en noviembre es donde se llevó todo a la chistorreta. Si ahorita que tengamos, o si es que tenemos estos pompazos aquí, lo que yo voy a estar buscando para vender es que todo el mundo me diga que es el superciclo, que haya euforia cabrona. Si existe esa euforia, voy a vender todo. Si no existe esa euforia, me lo voy a quedar, porque entonces esto se cancelaría. Pero por ahora no puedo decir que eso va a ser el caso. Por ahora estoy repitiendo esto y está multiplicado por 10. Y aquí es lo importante y lo impresionante para todos ustedes, porque me han escuchado decir que el fondo debería ser por ahí de los 54, 53. Si seguimos este escenario, lo voy a dividir entre 10. El fondo debería ser $31,000, por ahí de los $30,000. Solamente si seguimos este escenario. Y aquí yo no me voy a... ustedes saben, mi trabajo no es quedarme de terco en un solo lugar, es ir paso a paso analizando lo que está pasando y si se está repitiendo lo mismo, ¿no? Porque sabemos que existen variaciones en esto, no vamos a tener COVID esta vez, espero, quién sabe, ¿no? Igual y nos dicen que va a haber una guerra nuclear, los extraterrestres están saliendo de la coladera, lo que tú quieras, pero personalmente no lo veo. Lo que yo creo podría pasar, y esto es lo interesante, también esto es lo interesante de acá. En la semanal no tuviste tu cruce plateado hasta acá, en ese ciclo. Acá ya lo tuviste, aquí hay más debilidad. Por eso yo digo que relativamente existe una posibilidad de que esto ya no ocurra. Existe. No estoy diciendo que sea probabilidad, pero también existe la posibilidad de que si tenemos este mismo movimiento idéntico, yo le voy a dar toda la salsa, le voy a poner toda la salsa a mis tacos a que se va a ir a $30,000. Pero me tienes que probar que esto es idéntico. Hasta ahorita lo ha probado. Hasta ahorita esto tiene, en mi opinión, 70% de probabilidades. Hasta ahorita. Si aquí, cuando tengamos este pompazo, me dices, no, güey, es que Bitcoin va a explotar y las tetas de Michael Saylor también y todo el mundo se baja y le da miedo, me voy a salir, me voy a quedar, tal cual. Porque entonces ya compré muy cerca del fondo y podríamos ver el escenario que les conté al principio. Pero por ahorita no. Y de nuevo, relativamente hablando, que es lo que a mí me gusta más, esto respetó el S&P 200 y es lo que estamos haciendo ahorita. Entonces, para mí, básicamente estamos ante este escenario donde ya habíamos caído acá, tienes estas dos velitas, tienes esto, va a ser un bajo más alto y ven cómo es idéntico el patrón acá, ¿no? De eso, pero eventualmente en vez de subir, caíste. Para mí es donde estamos aquí. Y esto simplemente me lo va a decir las noticias y la euforia de todos ustedes. El miedo de todos ustedes es lo que me lo va a decir todo. Y voy paso a paso en este pedo. Lléveme de vuelta al ciclo de ahorita y les voy a enseñar también otras cosas. Les dije, ¿no? ¿Dónde estaba el cruce plateado en ese ciclo? Lo tienes acá, tío. O sea, mucho, vamos, en mi opinión es justamente lo que estamos viendo, una metamorfosis. No sé si eso sea en realidad una palabra apropiada para esto. Estamos viendo una combinación de esa parte del ciclo. Los voy a llevar a la diaria, a la de harina. Y en la de harina quiero que noten lo siguiente. Aquí podríamos estar viendo un hombro, cabeza, hombro. Ahora, este hombro podría rechazar ahorita, ir para acá abajo y hacer esto y reventar e ir para arriba, ¿ok? Vamos a suponer que es el caso, ¿no? De esto. Vamos a solamente suponer. Esto me da un objetivo de $71,000 acá. Ahora, la otra cosa que quiero que vean es esta. Yo ayer estaba de mamón, haciendo mis tablitas de pendejo, ¿no? Porque pues, yo qué verga sé. Y esto fue lo que saqué. Ya tienes un breakout aquí. Aquí ya tienes un breakout. Y a mí lo que más me gusta de esto que estoy viendo, y quiero que lo busquemos en la tabla, todos los EMAs están juntos. Todos, 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 todos. Hasta el S&P 200. ¿Cuándo fue la última vez que vimos eso en la de 4 horas? Donde todos estaban juntos. Fue acá, pero puedes ver que el 200 no estaba con ellos. Acá, pero el 200 no estaba con ellos. Acá, pero el 200 no estaba con ellos. Fue acá. La última vez que vimos todos los EMAs fue acá el 9 de marzo y nos llevó de 68,000 a 76,000 dólares. Y eventualmente a los 82. Esto es, ¿no? Si hubieras pintado esto así, acá es como lo estás viendo. Para mí, ¿qué es? Güey, yo quiero ver, si voy a entrar otra vez en un long, quiero ver un retesteo del 200 que lo respete, me aguante la línea acá. Vean, para que vean que no estoy solamente imaginando. Que venga, toque por acá en los 62,600, que haría que todo el mundo se salga. ¿Por qué? Porque, pues, güey, todos los longs han tenido un camino muy fácil, ¿no? Hasta acá. No los hemos sacado. Esto sería el trade para mí. Yo esperaría, llego a los 66,500, voy a apostar que va para arriba. Esto no va, en mi opinión, no va a dar, si viene para abajo es para sacar solamente a los longs. Ya estás en, ¿qué pedo? ¿Qué fue esto? Ya estás en otro nivel. La otra cosa que me gusta es que en lo que Bitcoin está haciendo todo esto, Coinbase, Strategy, todo se está quedando como haciendo un bajo más bajo, no queriéndote dar como una pista. Normalmente estas mamadas te dan una pista y no lo quieren hacer. Al mismo tiempo, estoy volteando a ver Solana y lo voy a poner en la diaria. Solana en la diaria está, por más que se vea como si fuera, güey, ya se está cayendo, Nel, güey, aquí estás a punto de tener un cruce plateado a la alza. También, esto está jugando justamente como yo les había dicho que esperaba desde febrero, en que primero tocaron fondo nuestros altcoins favoritos, no XRP, pero mis altcoins favoritos, y no han vuelto a ver el fondo desde entonces. En lo que Bitcoin sí vino a hacer un nuevo fondo, ¿no? Vino a hacer un nuevo fondillo por acá. Eso normalmente es patrón de fondo o de reversión duro en mi punto de ver. Entonces yo estaría viendo esas cosas. Yo estaría viendo esas cosas. Y acá, una vez más, este patrón de hombro, cabeza, hombro inverso. Ese es un patrón de fondo, cabrones. Y no voy a ni siquiera entrar. Denme un segundo. No sé por qué regresé esta tabla. Ya sé por qué. Debería ya de poner el índice acá, güey. Soy un imbécil. Eso es lo que soy. A la verga, el MACD está a punto de hacer algo que no había hecho desde el tope de ciclo. No, sí lo hizo acá, en este pompazo 82. Pero pueden verla en el MACD. Estoy todavía aprendiendo a usar el MACD. No tomen tanto este análisis como religión. Pero pueden ver bajo más bajo en esta zona, en el MACD, y un bajo más alto en esta zona, en el MACD. Eso es una divergencia alcista en el MACD. Y una vez que el precio suba por encima del promedio, para los que no entienden lo que estoy diciendo, es el precio es la línea azul, el promedio es la línea naranja, vas a tener esta divergencia alcista validada y esto debería darte otro pompazo estilo este. ¿Qué es lo que a mí me dijo desde el principio? Ciclo 2018 va a ser un pompazo a 74 y de ahí puedes hacer el corto de tu vida, ¿no? Si es que va a funcionar igual. Es lo que yo pensaría. Ahora voy a esconder mi MACD y simplemente voy a ir con el RSI, ¿no? Que cualquier idiota puede leer un RSI. El RSI, carnales, va a confirmar lo mismo una vez que estés por encima de los 65. Te confirmaría el tope. Te confirmaría esta divergencia alcista. Divergencia, no, precio bajista, divergencia alcista en la semanal. Atentos. Tíos, la de 2 semanas creo que estaba viendo yo y tiene lo mismo. Pueden ver cómo acá viene para arriba y acá en la de 2 semanas viene para abajo. No me acuerdo yo, más allá del fondo en Bitcoin acá, en la de mayo con enero, haber visto esto en otro tiempo. En el 2018 a la verga nunca hizo eso, ¿no? No. Es por eso, tenemos que entender que por más que juguemos el que todo el tiempo es lo mismo, esta vez sí cambiamos algo muy grande en cómo funciona el sistema financiero y tiene que tener una nueva dirección. Por eso tengo que estar alerta, tengo que estar moscas en todo este pedo. ¿Ok? No nada más es por hacerme el interesante, brother. No se preocupen, yo sé que no soy interesante, brothers. Pero y ya, yo creo que con eso puedo dar por terminado todo esto. Vamos a ver. Bien, pues ahí lo tienen. Es básicamente lo que estamos viendo en este momento. Simplemente una repetición del 2018 que se pone a prueba por la divergencia, la divergencia alcista semanal la divergencia alcista en la semanal de Bitcoin, la divergencia alcista en la de 2 semanas de Bitcoin y simplemente qué nos va a decir, qué nos va a dar la pauta para si va a ser diferente. Y lo que nos va a dar la pauta para que si va a ser diferente es, lo primero que a mí me encanta es, piénsenlo así, si ya vimos el fondo ahorita, vamos con el escenario de que en verdad tengamos el pompazo de todas estas mamadas del superciclo y la verga. El pompazo que acabamos de ver ahorita dejó a todo el mundo fuera de la jugada. ¿Están de acuerdo? ¿Cuánta gente, cuántos cracks no están esperando esos 45,000, 40, los 20,000 todavía ahí parado, sentado en su Pagani? No, ¿cuánta gente no está esperando eso ahorita? Y si ahorita nos vamos ya y despegamos y a la verga, 8 de la mañana, se me acaba de ver la playera de España puesta. Qué pendejo soy. Si ahorita vemos eso, toda esa gente se quedó fuera y fue la acogida más rica de toda la del mercado, donde no dejó entrar a nadie. A nadie. No lo vean ustedes, no, pues yo sí entré. Cálmense. Oye, calmémonos. No somos especiales. Pero si nos da el pompazo de aquí a agosto, pongámosle así, y ahí notamos, no sale Sisi. Yo lo que quiero ver en agosto es, si nos dice, ponte tú, mi sueño mojado sería que salga el güey de Coinbase, no el pelón, o Sisi de Binance, y digan, no se confíen, no crean que, recuerden que el mercado no es alcista todo el tiempo. Si algo me tiran contrario a ello, me quedo. Pero si ellos me dicen el superciclo en lo que está ahí, me salgo. Porque estaría todavía muy barato relativo a lo que va a subir. ¿Me entiendes? Y si te están ayudando, de nuevo, cuando algo continúa subiendo, y hasta ahorita las noticias me han guiado en esto, fue cada que el precio sube o hace un nuevo mínimo, más bien, hace un nuevo mínimo y ahora sube, te tiran malas noticias y no funcionan. Eso es lo que yo quiero ver continuando. Ahorita que habían bajado las acciones de IA y todo eso, era mala noticia tras mala noticia tras mala noticia. Eso es lo que yo quiero ver. Si vienen y me dan buenas noticias en lo que estoy subiendo, Nel, güey, esa es nuestra... Y una vez más, no se trata de la noticia en sí misma, se trata de cómo la gente se la traga toda. Cuando ves a todo Paco hablar de, no, es que ya la burbuja de inteligencia artificial va a tronar, bueno, nos vamos a la verga. Si todo el mundo nos dice, güey, es que este es el superciclo, nos salimos. Si ves que todo el mundo dice, güey, esto solo es un pump, no caigas en la trampa, nos quedamos. Y todo el mundo se la peló para entrar, menos nosotros. Y ya. Y así es como jugamos esto como putos profesionales. Porque hasta ahorita compramos el fondo. Hasta ahorita. Me imagino la decepción de todo el mundo, los demás esperando los 50, 45, 40, 30. No, güey, va a bajar más. ¿No? Vamos a ver. Pero bueno, me voy a ir a divertir con mi mujer. Vamos a ver el partido de España-Bélgica. Más le vale a España ganar este maldito partido pues en el honor de las 8 de la mañana. Y si no, Trump, Putin, Trump, Putin, ¿ok? Es lo que va a ocurrir, mis hermanos. Les mando un fuerte abrazo a todos. Gracias y gracias por entender que hoy acabamos temprano. Feliz viernes, pásensela de huevos. Graciela.